So just to be clear, right? I don't believe in space devoid of matter. I think they have they have inverted reality, right? I have theological justification for this belief, but I believe that we are in a cosmic ocean, and he separated the waters above from the waters below, and we literally live in like a little bubble, right? Now, if we were to theoretically speculate what's at the extremities of the cosmos itself, including like if we call the cosmos the Earth itself, what would be at the extremities of it? There's still a barrier there. It's a necessary antecedent, right? But you end up at counter space where there's literally nothing. There's nothing. It's non-existent. So you have
Yeah.
existence,
Wait,
and
are
then you have
you claiming
non-existence.
counter space is above the Earth in the sky?
No. I think beyond that the initial layer, right? Allegedly, there's 7 layers, right? But if we were to go beyond this entire realm, there's a cosmic ocean that surrounds us that's substantive, and the
You
firmament is actually holding back the waters above, which
Okay, but
is an immense. Yeah, hold
I'm
on, hold on,
talking
hold on,
about
hold on,
you
hold on. Let
mentioning
me just finish
you
it,
said
dude.
counter space
Hold
is in the
on,
sky.
dude. Bro, I got short amount of time, dude. I gotta hurry up.
Oh,
So
so you have to keep monologue. You don't have time
right,
to talk to
dude,
us.
I'm
You have to
not even
monologue.
monologuing. Give me 45 seconds, dude.
But you just said counter
I'm already
space is
almost
in the
through. This is
sky.
it, bro. Bro, you're
Yeah.
dragging it
If
out,
you
dude.
want to take that word
Dragging it
back
out.
because
Shut
someone
up,
knows what
dude.
that word means, that's fine.
Bro, shut up. Shut up. Right? So what's right beyond initially, right beyond the firmament itself is water, dude. Some super fluid that I really don't know, but it's immense pressure. So during the flood, the windows of heaven were open, and it allowed all that water to come rushing in and flood the earth. Go ahead.
All
You
right,
think
Q
that's
up.
actual water?
Somebody did bring up counter space in relation to the sky. If you heard that, that was something. I don't know that Lion said that.
Oh,
Oh no,
Lion just said it.
no, Lion did say so. I guess somebody mentioned Ken Wheeler. Well, we were talking about like if there is like a barrier or a container, and then what is beyond that container, and somebody mentioned counter space. Because if you had a container, it's like what is that container like up against? Is it up against another container, or is it up against? And somebody mentioned counter space.
By the
Well,
way,
so
Lion,
the
go with
container would be the magnetic field. It wouldn't be counter space. It would be like in the middle of the toroid.
by the way, Lion, I also go with the Great Ocean, about from where the waters that flooded the earth during Noah age. So I also believe that. But like I said, those things exist inside the vast void of nothing. So you have that what you call the counter space, what you call somewhere where just nothing exists. So if you have just like two molecules that will be called space. If you take out those molecules, which there is nothing, really, literally nothing. It's the nothing. You call it counter space. I just call it space. I just take it simple and make it simple.
Yeah.
We call that thing space, and if you put something, it's still space, and that something took out a volume inside that space.
Can I read you guys something? It's interesting. So you guys are talking about the flood. So in the so obviously there's different flood stories, right? You guys, the Christians, want to only focus on one version of that. So I'm reading a book by Ovid called Metamorphosis, and it's a series of poems that they claim are just poems. I believe they're historical accounts written in a poetic fashion because the Greek is always very musical in a sense. So if I could read it, a small like little passage, it discusses how the a different like version of like this flood story happened basically. So I thought it was really interesting. So this book basically it talks about the ether the entire time throughout the book. The book does claim the Earth is a sphere, so I don't know what the original Greek word is that they turned to sphere. In a lot of these translations, they're very changed. So these stories could have been rewritten to push the ancient Greek claim, like the claim that the ancient Greeks actually believed the Earth was a ball, which I don't believe to be so. I think this was like the initial post reset after the Crusades stories that were rewritten. So this is really interesting. So the flood story. God, so the flood. The god was now on the point of launching his bolts on the whole wide earth, but he feared that the conflagration might cause the holy ether to catch fire to in a blaze from pole to pole. So basically, he's like mad. Like it's the same thing with the Bible, where like there's a lot of crazy shit going on the earth, and the god wants to kill everybody. But this god is more like Zeus. I mean, obviously Yahweh obviously could probably do some lightning bolt shit, but in the Bible, it doesn't discuss that Yahweh was considering what weapon to use. In this book, it describes him choosing to flood because it would be less devastating to the environment, and it says that launching this kind of this level of bolts to the earth would literally set the entire ether on fire. So And it says that he put the lightning forged in the Cyclops' workshop aside and chose a different method of punishing mortals by massing storm clouds over the sky in a great flood. It's just interesting because it talks about like that basically it doesn't really say like this is a god that can just conjure up a lightning storm. It says he literally has a weapon that's created in a workshop, whoever Cyclops is. I theorize Cyclops, like one eye, might be a third eye, might be someone enlightened in that to that degree. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that this version.
You saying like a Tesla coil kind of weapon?
So they described there's you know what's the I forget what it's called. There's like an Indian there's like an Indian weapon like they claim it's like symbolical, but a lot of people think it's like a weapon. It's got like three prongs on each side, and it's like both sides have the same thing. And those Indian Hindu gods like are holding it, and Zeus has like a trident with like three, or sorry, Poseidon has a trident with three things. I think Zeus might too. I mean, either way, these weapons like the fasci and all these other these weapons are shown to us in a lot of ancient like sculptures and stuff.
But the part that makes no sense is when it says that it could lit up all the ether or something like that. If that lightning is just a vibration in the ether itself, a manifestation of the movement of the ether in a specific way, it can't do anything.
Well, this is obviously not this. So this guy, so the Greek god. So in
Weapon is
this
called
book,
the Vajra, by the way.
so in this book, it describes. So if you've seen the book cover from Manly P. Hall's book, Secret Teaching of All Ages, it's the same kind of cosmology described in this book, and in this book it says that the Milky Way basically is the Rainbow Bridge path, like the Milky Way. Like it's interesting that that's the name that we still use, the Milky Way. It's in this book. It says that's basically the road that the gods take to get to like the palace in heaven. So this wherever he would be shooting his lightning bolts from would be way above the ether. It'd be above where we see lightning discharge from.
All right. Well, anyway, I don't know about that guy. That sounds like a cool movie, but yeah, I don't see the need for a container. I see it might be a cool movie.
I mean, I believe it's history. It's ancient history.
They already made the movie. It's called Thor, God of Thunder.
Yeah, a story, not history, but story.
Okay, but most likely the stories passed down through these like myths are obviously more aligned with what probably happened than the mainstream history they tell us. So this is the best we got.
I mean, I just don't have much to say on it. It just sounds like it would be a cool movie. But yeah, I just was I don't know, maybe just wrapping up that I with those things in mind, the other things, I don't see the need for a container.
It's just that assuming there would be a container is more reasonable than assuming there wouldn't be, because every time we see gas pressure, there's always a container.
Yeah, yeah, it's the one that has all the proof. But the container is, like, by definition, is just the limitation of, whether it was the guy drew a crown, where it's the limitation of the color, where the color begins to turn to blue, or the limitation of where water turns into, it's where something turns into something else. That's what we just call a container, like a distinction. So if there's no, so if there, with as regards to, like, everything, everything just ends. There's no distinction. That would just be more. There's no more after everything.
No. Is that really the definition of container?
No, not really.
The word
It's like contextual, though.
Yeah, the word that we made, we created, we conceptualized, which is container. What is the definition of that word? What is a container? If I want to know, I'm someone who doesn't know. I want to know what is a container.
Well, I didn't give the real. There's probably an actual definition that would say, like, to hold a substance or whatnot.
Yeah, but
yeah, like a vessel. I don't know if this completely fits, but to say that, like, because we have pressure, we have to have a container, like, in our environment, that means there has to be one out there. Like, could there be a similar argument made that if somebody, like, the fallaciousness of this, if somebody were to say the only way we can replicate what a star looks like is sonoluminescence in the lab, therefore the stars up there would have to be sonoluminescence. I'm trying to make that link to say, like, the only way we can make pressure is in a container here, therefore that's what it has to be up there.
Yeah.
No,
No.
it's not has to be. No, wait, hold up. Stop. Real quick. Stop right there. It doesn't have to be. It's that it's most likely that's what it is. Not has to.
Well, some people say
it's called an inductive. Well, they're wrong. It's called an
people definitely
inductive.
say that.
Well, that's fine. Yes, people can say a lot of wrong things. It is an inductive argument to say all the times that we see gas pressure, we see a container. That is an inductive argument. Inductive arguments do not make definitive claims. They make most probable claims. So it is most probable that there's a container around this gas container. Just like a sonoluminescence, we can't say it has to be sonoluminescence, but it most likely would be sonoluminescence. There's two different types of art. Well, there's three, I think. But there's deductive, which makes definite claims, and inductive, which makes most probable claims. The sonoluminescence and the gas container with the pressure gas without a container, that's an inductive thing. You can't get an absolute answer out of
I thought it was abductive
argument.
When we
I thought abductive was to the most. I thought abductive was the one that goes for the most probable. I could be. Let me look it up.
It's like the best explanation.
Gas pressure using sonoluminescence would be a bad example for antecedents. I would use, for me, the best example for an antecedent of something is just fire. Like, for example, fire or a steak. Like, I will come back to the steak later, but fire. So when you see fire, because you know the antecedent of fire, you know that there is something there that is catching fire. Something combustible, something that can catch fire. Wood, it may be some tissue, plastic, maybe fuel, maybe anything that can catch fire. You know the antecedent of fire. Like if I give you a steak and you verify that it is a piece of steak, it is real meat, its DNA is correct, it is those cells are from a cow, you know that the steak came from a cow. The antecedent of the steak is a cow. There must be a cow from where the steak came from. You don't need to see it. You don't need to know what was its color. You know that there was a cow, and you know that there was something that catch the fire. Those are antecedents. Those are the examples I use, not sonoluminescence, because it won't give you any antecedent. Sonoluminescence is not antecedent of anything. It's not can't do it to say, oh, those things in the sky are literally sonoluminescent. Some other one will come and say that it is an arc, like those arcs that you find in the Batman signal, with the nanode and the cathode and super high charge. It's not a ball. It looks like one.
Yeah, we're not making arguments based off of things that we can't handle, right, out there. We're using arguments. We're basing our arguments from the tangible world that we live in.
Yeah, but from the tangible world, because since we know that you can't have gas pressure without a container, that for gas pressure, the antecedent for gas pressure is a container. So to have gas pressure, you need gas, and you need a confined volume. So that confined volume you created within a container, a physical one. It can be liquid, like a bubble of air inside the medium of water.
We have scientific laws, dude, based off of these observations, because these are known as principles that haven't been overruled, dude.
Yeah,
for what you're saying to be true, then physics itself would have to be faulty, like the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, correct. It is a law because it is something that doesn't change. Because there is that assumption that we all use the uniformity of nature. Because nature is
uniform. Yeah, the uniformity of nature. Correct. Yeah.
Because nature is uniform. Those things will never change. Tomorrow we will always see fire having an antecedent that something catched fire. So,
but
like
like what Noah said, because it is an inductive observation, right? And we're dealing with scientific laws, not transcendental laws like the laws of logic. There is a chance, there is a probability that what we might think are natural, universal scientific laws might not actually be universal and could be subject to change elsewhere in the cosmos.
Well, this
maybe
antecedent,
at the edge.
This antecedent reasoning is a transcendental argument that that the necessary precondition for pressure is a container. That's a transcendental argument, but that is what it is. But
no. Hold on a second. Yes, it's a transcendental argument, right? But we're dealing with two different categories. We're dealing with laws of logic and scientific laws, right? Scientific laws are a posteriori, right, based off of observations, and then you have transcendental laws like the laws of logic, laws of morality, stuff like that are a priori and not based off of observation.
Yeah, this is an inductive, the necessary precondition for a gas pressure is a container. That's the argument.
Yeah. Argumentation itself is transcendental, right? Language itself is transcendental. Concepts are transcendental. But when I'm talking about laws, right, you have transcendental laws like the laws of logic and transcendental laws like the laws of science, but they're two different categories.
Yeah, that would just mean they're necessary. That's all it's saying. It's saying they're necessary.
Like the laws of science aren't a priori, dude. They could be accidental, right? Not like accident, like you know what I mean by accidental, right? Could have come about, not eternal, right? Not immutable, right, but could have come about through contingency, through contingency later on. The laws of logic are immutable, eternal, and unchanging. The second law of thermodynamics or the first law of thermodynamics doesn't have to be so. It doesn't have to be eternal and immutable and unchanging. That's why there's always this probabilistic doubt that maybe you are right and the second law of thermodynamics isn't actually universal. It doesn't hold at the edge of our cosmos or whatever.
Yeah, and then there's another I feel like maybe I should just throw this in there, like universal. That's an abstraction of the particular things. So it's not actually a thing. The universe isn't actually a thing. Like I'm going to do a hashtag saying universe doesn't exist. Prove me wrong.
No. When I say universal, I'm not invoking the heliocentric model of the universe. When I say universal, basically I'm saying absolute.
Yeah, right. But then we're applying it to this concept of the universe being the whole, in a model of the whole of all things, that all the particular things exist within. We're saying, well, we got to have something at the edge of all of the universe, of all things. But the universe in this context is the abstraction derived from all of the distinct things. So then it goes back to like my original statement. If we're thinking this creation, we're trying to account for how can we have this gas pressure here on Earth without a container. We're giving the ontology to the Earth from the sky, from the sky down to the Earth instead of from the Earth up to the sky. We're saying that the sky made the Earth, so I mean, obviously it needs a container. But if the Earth is what made the sky, then we don't need a container. Then the Earth is just space is expanding, so they say.
The
Earth is expanding.
irony is that you can use both deductive and inductive reasoning. You can work from the top down and show that you need a container, and you can work from the bottom up and show that you need a container. Either way, you're effed.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you and
effed.
Necros. Why do you need a container if you work from the ground up?
Because all local observations, right, regarding pressurized systems require containment. That's working from the bottom up, right? You can't actually provide the contrary in our local reality. And then when working deductively using theological justification, right? God says he first created the heavens and he first divided the waters above from the waters below, which is the firmament, before you ever had Earth.
Throwing the Bible at me.
I'm just saying, dude. That's using the Bible is known as deductive reasoning through theological justification. So that's top down. So either top down or bottom up, dude. You have no, I mean, you really don't have an argument.
Well, even I could say that even the biblical thing, the waters above from the water below, would just be contextual. Like as in the mind of God, he said he decided that this is where the sun is going to go and this is where the earth is going to go, not an actual separation with a distinction of a barrier of a container.
Hold on, dude. I got to clock out.
And then he says he created the earth and then he created the sun. So I mean, it tells you right there. This earth, everything came from the earth. Earth first cosmology. But like, what's the issue then? Necros, if you could, why do you still need a container if it comes from if it comes from the ground up? Because you seem to be saying it too.
If it comes from the ground up, you still need a container because if there is no container, no gases will continue rushing up. Only if you claim that the heavens are that closed container, if there is no heavens up, they continue rushing up. Do you know at what speed? I'll tell you, the speed of sound.
Yeah, the way you said it. Huh?
So you will have a continuous, like, bomb rushing at you at the speed of sound. Every molecule of gas that is produced at the surface, you won't. It's just not scientific what I am about to say, because you won't have water. I am assuming that you can have water without gas pressure. So what gives you the water here is just that the pressure that we have, and that pressure that we have is that something is closing up on those gas molecules, stopping them from rushing away from the surface at the speed of sound. And then that water will start to boil, may turn into gas, doing the same exact thing, rushing into that void because it have that kinetic energy on it. Those gas molecules have kinetic energy. Yeah, it will just rush away at the speed of sound.
Can you think of anything that would cause mass to not rush away from the Earth? like gas has mass. So can you think of anything that would cause gas not to rush away from the Earth other than a dome?
Yes.
A
Yes, I
magic
can.
rubber band.
What?
A magical rubber band.
Okay, that's one. There's a couple other explanations.
Yeah, you can tell me just one.
Are you
Are
asking
you?
me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Are you?
Yeah, gravity.
Tell
Gravity.
me
Gravity.
the name of the magical rubber band.
No. That's a different one. So another
So
potential option is gravity.
So what it is, gravity? It's a magical rubber band. I think it's just the name of the magical rubber band that I was thinking.
If that's okay, if you want to think of it that way, another way to think of it is mass attracting mass. But you could also
With a
describe it as
magical
that if
rubber
you want.
band, mass attracting mass, with love. They love each other.
So Necros, if you think it's a
Electricity.
magical rubber band, why do things
No,
fall down on your
you're
Earth?
telling
Huh?
me, you're giving me a verb, something that is doing something to something else. So
Yep.
that's something which is attraction. Is it
Yep.
by love?
Nope.
Is it the magical rubber band that I talked about?
Nope.
The invisible tooth fairy?
Nope.
What it is?
It's a force.
The thing that you are a force.
Yep.
So force of what?
I already told you, but I'll say it again for you. Mass attracting
Force of
mass.
what?
Mass
Saying
attracting
force.
mass.
Yeah, mass attracting mass. So
Yep.
mass. You're telling me that it is attracting something else. Using what?
We don't have to describe that. We just know
You
what's happening.
have your. I said the magical rubber band. You said that you have something better. You're not
Yep.
telling me what it is that something better. You're just giving me the name of the magical rubber band I talked about earlier.
So it's
You're not
mass
telling me
attracting.
what. You're saying that.
Yeah, you're right.
What?
You're right. I'm not going to use
What?
the word gravity. I'm just going to say mass
What?
attracts mass. It's a
A
observation.
force of what? Of what? The force of the magical rubber band that were attracted by that that mass that were far, and then it's just changed that force into attraction, so it will just squish to come back to its shape. So they will
Yeah,
force
just like electromagnetism, right? Just like
so
electromagnetism.
so pseudoscience then no not like electromagnetism. When I'm saying electromagnetism, I'm explaining it, and it is something that you can have, you can see, you can
Yep.
you can see its visible part, you can
Just
make
like gravity. Just like
you
gravity.
don't see gravity. Can you show me what's the camera that
Yeah.
you are using to see
Yeah, mass
gravity?
attracting mass. Mass falls toward other mass, toward larger
Mass is
mass.
doing something. Mass is doing gravity to something else. So that
Okay,
the
what in your idea then what causes electromagnetism?
electricity.
No, incorrect.
Yeah, energy. Yeah,
No, that's a magic rubber band. What causes electromagnetism?
electricity.
No, it doesn't. Electricity does not cause electromagnetism. You can have electromagnetism without electricity. So try again. Other than your magic rubber band, what causes electromagnetism?
It is electricity.
Wrong.
Don't you? It is because it is what making the everything that you have in the table of matter.
No,
Every, every
electricity is the flow of charged particles through a conductor. Electricity. Hold on,
charge
Necros.
electricity. Oh my God.
Necros. Electricity is the flow of charged particles through a conductor. That is
No,
not what you're describing.
so that's what you are defining as another part or section of electricity. The thing that is composing what you have in the table of matter, what you call atoms, that's electricity. You have an electric charged particle, it's called the electron. That's electricity. And you have
No.
a positive charge nucleus that is the nucleus, but also electricity. Those things are you can when they are in some different states, you call it static electricity.
Yeah, but what causes them to attract to each other?
Change when the state of that material, of that atom change, or behavior change due to energy or something like that. So those flow of electrons, those negative charge particle will start to behave differently. So they will jump
Why?
from one to
Why?
one. Also, magnetism is
Why?
just the magnetism is just the residue of those where
Residue?
what is the direction, what is sorry for my bad English, it's my third language, so I'm trying my best to use
No,
the
that's fair.
correct.
That's fair.
So
Yep.
sometimes I fail to use the correct, try to use your brain and to translate. So magnetism is just the distribution or the side that those molecules and electrons are facing. So it will generate a magnetic field on that material that you have.
Okay.
So
So in general, it's just a magic rubber band.
no, it's just electricity, and I'm not assuming that gravity it is electrostatics. No, I didn't say that. I just assumed
No,
rubber.
your electromagnetism is explained by a magic rubber band because you can't explain it. You're just using other words. It's just a magic rubber band.
No, I'm not using other words.
Okay.
I'm using your side claim what your side is claiming. So in your paradigm, I'm not even assuming that model of molecule. Do you think? I swear I don't assume the model of molecule that you have, the negative electron and positive ion. So my assumptions and speculations about that are completely different. But still, yeah, I give you what is the thing that is creating that attraction of electrostatics.
It doesn't matter. We see it, we know its effect, and we know how to control it. So just in the same way we can control electromagnetism, we can control mass attracting mass. So they're both forces. Hold on. They're both forces. So anything that has mass will have an attraction to larger masses, such as the Earth. So gas pressure is not running away from the Earth is very easily explained by the attraction between mass and mass. Therefore, you don't need a physical container, you just need a force.
No, you don't need a force because a force is not a container.
It acts as a container, sure.
Can you show me that? Where you can have a cup of high pressurized gas inside the vacuum chamber?
Oh, sure. That's
I
what the
could, I
gradient.
could, but I'm not a
Gradient.
glober.
Yeah, that's a gradient.
You can have a cup of gas inside a vacuum chamber, of high pressurized gas inside the vacuum chamber. Gravity will hold the gas. If you open the lid of the cup, those gas molecules will not rush to fill the volume of the vacuum chamber. Can you show me where it happened?
Sure.
Yeah, so show me that, please.
So that's what the gradient is. And
No.
the way that you'd have to hold on a second, Necros. The way that you would have to do that is to get away from other masses. So you'd have to take your vacuum chamber out in the middle of space, away from other things in order to do what you're asking to do.
Why I would put it in?
But you can have a gas gradient without going to space.
I agree with you, but he wants a cup, a open filled cup of gas in a vacuum chamber.
Gravity it will attract those gases down.
Yep, exactly. You got it, buddy.
No, but it doesn't. When I open the lid of a cup inside the vacuum chamber, or I do something like opening the lid of a can inside the room, so the difference of the pressure between the can or the cup inside the vacuum chamber, inside it will just equalize. Yeah, it will create
Gradient.
Yeah, but not inside the cup and and leave the vacuum chamber as a vacuum chamber like in the first place. No.
Yep, exactly. You'd have to take it to space to do that.
The gases will rush away from the cup, will exit the cup, and then it will fill the vacuum chamber. And then, depending to the air temperature and those things, those gases will just.
Yep, because we're on Earth. Because we're on Earth. Good job.
Somewhere where you have the highest potential of gravity.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. You got it.
On the surface of
Okay, so
the highest potential of gravity, where that gravity have to attract those gases down, stopping them from rushing away, filling the volume.
You got it. That's why you don't need a container. Good job.
It doesn't do that.
Yeah, it does.
Well, if you start inside of a chamber, right, that's got a valve stem, hoses and all this hooked up, right, vacuum pump and a gauge on there, and say I set a Dr. Pepper can on the inside with a little robotic arm to open her up. If I vacuum out as much as I can with my vacuum pump, and then I open the can with the little robot arm, you still have a container where you have a gradient and equalization.
Yep. Because you're on Earth.
I mean, I guess, Wes, how have you determined that that everything came from the sky to create Earth and not the opposite?
You have to take those gases to Narnia and then test your assumption that gases will be held down by gravity. Okay.
No, you don't. Or you could go up and see there's no container.
Go up and see there is no container. Okay, can you help me, please?
What do you need help with?
Wait a minute, you postulate the container, you need to show the container.
Well,
I want
well, go ahead. You said I got to go up to show that there's no container, which implies that you have done that already. So show me how you went up to prove that there was no container.
We have done
Go
it.
ahead.
We have done it.
So where's the container? You say there's a container. Where is this container? You're
not hearing us. You got like Wes and the other guy. You guys are saying that
the positive claim.
I get it. The positive claim is I'm here, dude. Relax. I'm agreeing with you.
Your question.
Definition isn't positive.
Are you guys all right? Are you guys all right? You okay?
You're asking me a question.
Hold on. I was going, then he went, then you cut me off.
I know you asked me a question. You asked me a question.
No, I never asked you a question, dude.
You said you got to go do it.
No, I never said that. So now there's this.
Too many people at once. Chill.
Yeah. Yep. So So now there's this quick. Holy shit, guy! What's wrong with you guys?
Ask me a question.
Tanks, you've been meditating for like 5 minutes now. Can you just?
You're right. That is a question. I keep asking, what's wrong with you fucking guys? Yeah. You're right. I do keep asking that question.
Well, we have been up to many hundreds of people have been up to space. So.
All right, that's your positive claim that the space, right, outer space exists, right? So you're saying that there's this place that exists. That's your claim. Prove it.
Yep.
No, you're positive. You're positive.
What would you like? What would you like? First-hand accounts, video, live feeds, streams, cameras.
Yeah, prove.
What would you like?
No, those don't work. You got to prove it.
Oh, how would you do it then?
Not like that. You got to prove it.
Wait a minute, Tanks.
How would you do it?
Wait a minute, Tanks. If you're making a positive claim that there is a container, you need to show such container.
No. Listen, that's a rebuttal to your guys' claim. That's what you're not understanding, right? You're saying that there's this place called outer space where the pressure is so low that it could crush you. I said, go ahead and show me this place, because in everything that I've ever experienced, if that place existed, it could not exist, right, in observable reality next to the high pressure systems we have here without a container. So it's my counter. I'm always saying this. I've never seen that without a container. You're saying I can show it to you. Go ahead, show it to us.
Where's the container?
No. You saying it doesn't need? You're saying this place exists that I believe would need a container. You're saying it exists, so show it to me. I don't need a container if you don't have the thing that exists
you don't have
in the first instance.
Thank you.
I don't need one.
Got it. You don't have a container.
To start with, vacuums don't suck, so there is no place that's going to rip nothing apart. And if you only need to contain 14.7 psi, that's very easily done inside of a vacuum, because it's only 14.7 psi.
But you don't contain 14.7 psi. You contain like 0.00001, and then the next centimeter is like 0.00001.
Well, when they went to the moon, they done 5.5 psi with 100% oxygen.
All right, so you can show it. Like I can show you guys Bigfoot in a picture. Do you guys? I just want to know. Do you guys accept videos, pictures? What do you want? What do you want?
You can show me the container in a picture. Please do.
No, I don't need a container. If the thing that you're saying, I don't need a container. No, unless you have some kind of evidence or proof of the thing that you're asserting.
How's the pressure contained? How's the pressure? How do we
You're
get, how do we get pressure?
Well,
How do we
check
get
it out,
pressure
right?
if
It's
there's
like
no
you're saying,
container?
yeah, check it out. You're saying, listen, a mind doesn't require a body. So I'm
How
saying, dude, I'm pretty sure. You're saying there's this mind out there in space. There's this brain that's just out in outer space and it's operating. And I'm saying, dude, show me the body. And you're like, you're like,
no,
show
where's
me,
the
yeah, show me that
container?
you have the body. Show me that you have. Where's the body? You're asking me,
Show
where's
me
the body?
show me
I'm
the
asking you,
container.
where's the mind that you're claiming is out there? Where is
Where's
it?
the container? How do we have pressure without a container then?
I don't need. If there's no
Oh, we don't need
mind
a
out there, I
container.
don't
Thank
need a
you. We don't need
body.
a container. I agree with you. We don't need a container. Now we can move on.
Great, dude. So yeah, so you're not understanding. That's okay. I don't need you to interject while I'm
There's
speaking.
no
But for the
container.
room,
Got it. Got it. No
yeah,
container.
for the room, without the weird people interjecting, unless your positive assertion that of this thing called outer space is substantiated, then there's no need for a container. You are correct. So please
Wait, hold-
substantiate your claim. Please substantiate your claim, and then I could have a rebuttal. That would be
so,
nice.
so there's no gradient in the atmosphere when you go up up to the top of the mountain. There's no gradient. It's the same
Is
pressure as
that
it
what you're
was
appealing
before.
to? Is
There's
that the outer
there's
space you're
no
appealing to? Is the air?
there's no gradient. There's no
Yeah,
gradient in the
air
atmosphere.
exists. Air
There's no
exists. Great, I agree.
Yeah,
gradient. The
gases and gradients
gradient.
exist inside of. Yeah,
No,
they exist inside of containers.
why?
We
Why?
do it in labs all the time.
Yeah. Because
We
what?
just walked
You have a
through
port.
one just a moment ago with the Dr. Pepper in the vacuum chamber. When you
Yeah,
open
it's
the
called
Dr.
ports.
Pepper, it becomes a
But that is
pressurized
not.
container that ends up with a
So
gradient.
where's the
So we
container?
still have
That
a
is not.
so we
Where's
still
the
have
That
a
is
container then?
something.
container.
Well, then we gotta go back to
That is
no tanks. Where's the container?
Well,
Where's
we
the
have a
firmament?
gradient. We have a gradient, and
Where's the
inside of
firmament?
the container, bros, this is
No,
a
we don't.
problem. You keep
You don't
trying to
have a
run
gradient
away
inside a
from the
container.
necessity. Why are you talking
You
over
mean
me, bro?
the gradient
You
inside a
keep trying
container
to run
because of
away
gravity? No, because
from the
you're
necessity
lying.
of.
You're either lying.
Okay, so
So
you're
yeah,
just
with
gonna
this
keep talking
guy,
through
the
me
thing
while I'm
is,
trying to
dude,
talk to the audience. That's awesome. Thank you.
yeah, he either just
It's
needs to be
making this
muted
so much
or
better.
he just disrupts everybody. He does it all day. He's got a real problem, so he just can't not interrupt. So either I leave him unmuted and you let him interrupt you, or we just leave him on mute. What do you want to do, Cuddles? Because he'll interrupt
Oh,
endlessly. He's got
I'm
a
good
real
with your
problem.
current decision. I'm not even gonna mess that up.
Well, I muted him at least so you can finish, but I'm saying like he cannot do it. He's shown it over years. It's impossible. So we either just leave him muted or he ruins the combo. So I mean, if you want to have him talk over you, I guess you can do it. Otherwise, yeah, he'll just destroy it. He'll
Well,
just
wasn't there
interrupt
another
and
guy?
ad hom and clip endlessly. So he's
Yeah,
completely
I just
incapable,
wanted
I
to
think.
say something to Cuddles real quick.
I suggest you unmute him for one test, and we see if he can handle himself.
Yeah, because I want to hear the back and forth. It's just when they start talking over each other, it's a little as we
All right,
know.
do you want to ask? How about I'll unmute him? Zanick, do you want to mod him? You tell the guy not to interrupt.
I will. I'll
Go
try.
ahead.
Yeah, because I want to. Because Cuddles, you're making some really weak points, and I tend to agree with what NASA's doing. He's getting frustrated, so that's why he's talking through you, and you're kind of talking through him too. But I will try to, monitor NASA just because I know he's excited about it, as I would be probably too. So
Well,
I'll try to help.
it's cognitive dissonance. Like if someone says something you disagree with and you just freak out and scream and interrupt them, it's because you have cognitive dissonance. Like you're not able to like listen, let them say something you disagree with, and then you can respond in an intellectual fashion. Instead, when you feel uncomfortable and you don't know what to do with yourself and you just splurge out, that's what's happening. And he does that endlessly. Zanuck, you do it too, to be honest.
Please.
I know,
Please.
but I've been trying to
please
get better. I've been trying to get better at it. I've been making an attempt to get a little more that we're under
Please
control.
don't say we're gonna have intellectual discussions on this group because we never do. Because you
Well,
have
NASA, let him. I want to hear because you're making a good point. I want to hear his response to it. So I think in order to get your point across, you're going to have to let him go through it. And then Cuddles, you're going to have to stop and let him finish his response to it. Okay? Because I want to hear what you have to say as well. You're really hell bent on saying we need to have a container for gases. That's your premise. I get it.
We had an
All right,
example earlier.
Zanuck for mod.
And I went back over the example because apparently he had lost the plot.
Well, can I please respond?
So-
It'll take like 10 seconds. All I want to say is just one simple little thing.
Well,
I just
Cuddles
want
was
to say
cut off originally. That all
I
happened
just want
when
to say. I was just going to say the Cuddles, that's not analogous to reality. That's all I wanted to say.
Wait,
Yeah,
Cuddles,
I know. Weak points, analogous, it's not real. Right, right. The thing that I demonstrated in the description that we literally all agreed, right? There's a box, there's a valve, there's a vacuum pump, there's a Dr. Pepper, there's a robot arm. Nobody jumped in. So then when I open it and I go, hey, look, there's a gradient inside of a container. No, there's not. There's no such thing as you're looking at it. So stop
What?
spurging and
What
maybe
gradient?
try and listen
I
a
don't
little
think
bit.
What gradient?
anyone denied that, Cuddles.
No, wait a minute. Hold
You
on.
have
I'll
a
deny
Dr.
it. The gas will
Pepper.
equalize. The gas is equalized instantly. What are you talking about?
Well, it's not that. It's yes, if you have a small vacuum chamber, it will fill the vacuum chamber like you're talking about. But the Earth is so large that it literally has a vacuum above the gas. Like the Earth
That's a
is
cool
that large. You
story.
would have to have, in
Show
order
me.
to make that analogous to reality, you would have to have a huge vacuum chamber and then a very small can. And then
So
you
you're
could check to
Cuddle,
see if there's a gradient and if it fills the whole
well,
room.
hold on. I think we're getting away from the point. Cuddles, what is your point about the vacuum chamber and opening that there is a gradient when you open the can of soda, that this liquid becomes a gas and it becomes a gradient in there? I don't think there's any debate on that. But what is your point about why we can't have gas around this? Let's say the Earth is not even round. It's a flat Earth and we have this gradient of gas that we all know about. Why do you need to have a container of it? Why do you have to have something above it?
Why do you want to fight with books so much, bro? I'm just reading the definition of
No.
gas pressure.
I'm
By the
asking
way.
you.
I'm not
have
in
you
science, so
have you
I don't
read
like,
fight.
have you
I
read
don't
the
fight with
definition?
books. I
Have you
just want
read
to
the
know your
definition?
yeah,
answer.
it's the force of the particles colliding with the walls of the container. It can
Have
be
you read the
measured with a
Would you?
barometer.
Have
Okay.
you read
Would
the
you?
definition of atmospheric pressure?
Yeah. Would you agree that there's no difference between the collisions between these molecules in a container and the collisions that those particles would have or the molecules would have against the walls of the container? Would you agree there's no difference between those actions? Yes or no?
What, did they collide with each other in the walls of the container? It's
The
literally in the
for-
definition. So it's
yeah.
Have
like,
you read the
So
what?
definition?
hold
Have you
on.
read the definition of
Massa, give
atmospheric
me a
pressure?
second with him real quick. I just some coherency here.
Wait,
Would
the
you agree?
moderator.
No, you're missing it. It's in the
I'm not. Well,
definition.
you can help me go down your path as long as you let me go down my path for a second. So we have a
Zanick's
little
the
give and take.
moderator right now.
Thank you, Gio. So, would you agree that there's no difference between the collisions of the molecules with each other as with the collisions with the walls of a container? No difference.
I mean, if it's all one temperature, sure.
Okay. So, if you don't have a container, those molecules can still collide with each other, correct?
Maybe. Depends. What's the area you're dealing with? Infinite? Then how are they ever going to find each other?
I
Well,
thought
that's
where
a
you were
good
going to go
point.
with Zanick is they collide with each other within a layer of the gradient is where I thought you were going with it. Like everything will collide at 14 psi, 13, 12, and all the ones in 12 will collide with 12, and the ones with 12 at the barrier between 12 and 13, the 12 and 13 will be a layer, and then the 12 and 11 will be a layer. I thought that's where you were going, is that they would all just stay within their gradient levels, and then therefore what you could just have ongoing layers of gradients that are all kept within their own layer, and therefore not. I thought that's where you're going with it.
No, it's kind of related to that, but really the force you mentioned it, Cuddles. You mentioned 14.7 psi. That's a force that's you're actually able to measure, and that it happens because the rate of change of momentum is a force is required. It results in a force. So that force at 14.7 psi is these molecules having to collide and then change their direction. This rate of change of direction, rate of change of velocity is going to be a force. But that's related to the velocity of the actual molecules. So what we do is we can actually weigh gas in containers, so we know the downward velocity is greater than any other direction. It's the greatest velocity is going in the downward direction, the vector down. So
yeah, that makes sense. But that makes sense.
That's because the molecules have weight. They're attracted to something downward, whether it be magnetism or any other theory of gravity, whatever you want.
No, I mean, doesn't it make sense though, Zanick, that you would have the greatest motion where the stuff exists, and less motion, less kinetic energy where the stuff doesn't collide. It makes sense that way.
It doesn't collide. Well, yeah, there's more of it
You're,
down.
you're saying that we have a higher pressure here where the stuff is made because there's more collisions where the stuff is made and less motion.
Produced?
Yep.
No, I can just drop. I mean, if there's no air currents and convections in the set, I could drop CO2 at 30,000 feet, which is the highest, one of the higher density gases we have, the highest weight gases per unit volume, and it would settle at the bottom. It didn't have to be created at the surface. It could be released by something else up in the sky.
All right.
Be a bird.
Well, now you're bringing something else. You're bringing something else in, but in your initial thing, where you said you were putting forward that it makes most sense that it would be pulled down, all right, because there's a greater energy towards the ground, therefore gravity's pulling it down. But it doesn't make just as much sense to say it has a greater energy because that's where the gases are produced. That's where the collisions are occurring.
No, because they can be released, and if some gases are lighter than others, they will be displaced by the heavier gases, which will push them upward, and because the preference is down. Would everyone agree that there's a downward bias, like you drop something, it falls to the ground? I mean, that has to be agreed by everybody, regardless of cost.
I just want to simplify it real quick. You can weigh gas. Gas has a weight. We know that. We know that whatever you want to call it, gravity, dropity, whatever, things fall down. We can measure how much gas pushes itself apart because it does have a force. When you put it somewhere, it tries to expand. So we can measure that the force pulling down, whatever that force is greater than it pushing up. And we know that vacuums don't suck. Things always go into a vacuum. The vacuum does not suck them into it. So that would mean that there is only one force, and it's pulling down whatever's causing it. There's no force pulling up, and the expansion of the molecules is less than the force pulling down on it. So it would hold all of the air to the ground, and you would not expect it to leave the planet.
Yeah, they're going in all directions.
Not a single thing.
Well, the common thread here is
you
we've
didn't
always
follow
had to
that.
hear me talking. Hold on a second. So we know that we've all talked about this for years, that gases go in all directions. And that's true. They bounce off and they randomly go in all directions. But the velocity downward is greater. That's the preference. The preference is down. And because of that, that's how air can be weighed. The direction is downward. And that is a fundamental cause of why we have the laws of hydrostatics.
Like this up and down thing, like that. I already don't.
Air has weight, because air has weight, it'll have most of its concentration near the surface, because that's the containment, the surface. It can't go lower than the surface because that's a barrier. But upward can be infinitely empty. There's no need for container because the force that is containing it is by virtue of its weight. Cuddles. That's the answer.
Dogmatic and crazy people, I think.
So
you both
we have
spun
a
a story.
problem.
Like you both spun a long story with assertion after assertion without any kind.
It's not assertion. You can weigh the air. We know why it has weight. We know why.
Okay, but the first assertion is all we asked for proof of. You said the outer space is real. We asked for proof, and now you're going off into dogma instead of giving us what you claimed you had.
We have the proof. We can measure the
pressure.
You,
not
you have
we.
the proof. Everybody, we as a humans, we have proof. Cuddles,
Bill and Buzz and Jim Bob aren't showing up here to save you. You're sticking your hand into the fire.
We know. Can I just say one thing? We know that the Earth is a globe, and we know that gravity pulls things inward towards the globe, and we know that the stars and this. I mean, this is just how. This is what you guys sound like.
I didn't know, and that's not what we're saying. So stop.
This is what you sound like.
That's what you're doing.
All right, are we gonna have a conversation? We're just gonna have
a proof of outer space, and you said something, and that's a positive claim. I read a damn definition. How dumb do you got to be to call a definition a positive claim when it's been proven? You stupid.
Okay, Cuddles, we don't need to insult. You're not listening. I'm telling you, and I'm not.
Bro,
you don't need to gaslight.
No.
I let you talk.
You're
let me
not listening. You made the assertion.
Go ahead.
I asked for proof of outer space.
I'm giving it to you.
You did not provide that yet.
If you stop talking, I will allow. Thank you. I will give you the proof that you're looking for. All we need to do is take measurements of the pressure, and as we go higher, we can get to zero pressure. very close to zero pressure. At 100,000 feet, kindergartners with the assistance of their teachers can set up Zanick sensors and they can measure 0.05 psi, which is basically zero. So that's outer space. Now, does that continue on? Yeah, there's no reason for us to assume that, let's say we don't have any more
Now,
technology.
what's your proof? What's your
There's no,
proof?
the measurement of zero pressure. Because that's
Yeah, what's your proof
There
that
is
it
no
continues
measurement
on?
of zero pressure. Hold on.
Yes,
That's a
that
lie.
is
There
zero
is no
pressure.
measured zero.
Close to
There's no
zero.
such thing.
So now you're going to
Close
fight
to
about.
isn't. So now you're just being
Oh,
lying.
so now we're being pedantic.
Lying.
Now we're being pedantic. Oh, it's not
No.
exactly
You're just
zero, so
lying.
your argument fails?
It's
No.
positive. Is it positive or is it zero?
It is positive. Very small
Oh, there you
values.
go. So it's not zero.
So
Look
for
at
all
that. I
practice,
was being honest all along.
it's a pedantic argument because you know it is. We have
No, it's
0.05.
not.
Is 0.05 even an integer in pressure in psi?
Yes. Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes.
It's not even an
If
integer.
it wouldn't
It's
be.
not an
Hey,
integer.
if it wasn't, it wouldn't be measurable. That's
Is it
why you
below
have to
1?
interrupt.
Is
That's
it
why
below
you
what?
have to
Is
interrupt
it
me
below?
while I'm talking because you're not making any sense, and I am.
Because you're not listening. No, you are not making any sense, actually.
You
I'll let
just
you talk,
said
but
that
just
there's zero. So then I ask you, I test your logic. I test your I said so. So prove it. And you go, well, there's no such thing as the thing I just said. I said there was.
Zanick, where you jumped in
You're
with
telling me
NASA's
I
show
have
with the thing,
problems. You
You're
double.
where you jumped,
gonna keep
where you
on
jumped
belaboring that
in with
point.
NASA's
I
show, where
said
you
near
said, "Hey, I
zero,
want to definitely jump in on this
practically zero.
conversation, and I want to be part of it, and I want to say things." Right, the part where you jumped in with NASA's show, I'm just gonna, I just want to point out for you, Zanick, was that somebody said, "Well, you're going to need a container if you have the vacuum of space as it's stated." So now that's all dependent. This container argument was in that with NASA show was all dependent upon your guys' proof that there's nothing, that nothing exists. So can you please present
Yeah,
us with nothing?
you're being pedantic. And what I said
What's
was
your
it's near
claim? Can you
zero.
just present the
Oh,
nothing?
can I just finish? Seriously, guys, let me just finish the sentence. I had 3 words in, and you immediately started opening your mouth. Stop. So what I said was it's near zero, and we have a measurement of 0.05 psi. Is that zero? No, it's not zero, but it shows a vacuum. That is a very strong vacuum, high vacuum at 0.05 psi, and
Don't
nothing
have
moves
that.
into it. Hold on, nothing wants to go upward. It wants to go downward. Why? Because air has weight. There's some kind of attraction to the surface of our Earth. We don't know what it is.
I mean, that's all
Something called
dependent on
gravity.
this thing of space.
You
Can you
can't
please
help
show it?
yourself, can you? Let me just finish the
You're not
sentence.
showing it. You're finished. You're talking about other
Hold on,
things.
I got it, buddy. I got it.
We measure it, and it is 0.05 psi. It's not zero. It's very, very close to zero. It's not even an integer. It's below the unit of measure, which is a psi, below that solid number of 1. It's below 1 by a factor of over 100, almost near 100 times. So that is a fraction of something that you're actually thinking is pressure. So we know it's a vacuum. We know vacuum means a lower pressure than something else relative to it. That's what vacuum means. So we know
That's
it
what
doesn't
up and down
escape
means.
into the vacuum because we can measure it not escaping, and we can measure the vacuum as well. What is the problem with that?
You're ready?
I asked the question. What is the problem with that?
Okay, so you have an extrapolation, but no tangible evidence of this nothing. This is
Oh
a
my God! Did you
this is
not
like
hear
a thought
the message?
experiment.
We have the measure. We have the measurement.
You said you have
Measurement
an
is the
integral where
tangible
it's not even
evidence.
measurable at this rate of an integral. So all you have is at this moment is an extrapolation, but not
No, where do you get that from?
of a measurement
That's
of something
lying.
that does exist. And then once you measure the thing that does exist, you're extrapolating that and saying, but there's also an area where things don't exist. Do you have any proof of the non-existence of space?
No, you're taking it way too far. The
Because we're going to need
evidence
a
was
container
the
for that.
measurement. Wait, no, the measurement was the measurement was the evidence. It was the tangible evidence, the tangible proof. 0.05 psi at some level, 100,000 feet. Not even, we've gotten much higher. Everyone can shoot things higher than that. They do. The guy jumped from 150,000 feet. At
Yeah, but he's
100,000
saying
feet.
you're extrapolating it, though. He's saying you're extrapolating it beyond what you could measure into
No,
this thing
that's
that you're
not the
claiming
point,
exists
Gio.
that you're not actually measuring.
They're obfuscating because that's not even the point. We don't care if there ever is a spot, and there may never be a spot above us that's zero. May never happen. Probably doesn't.
Hold on.
Doesn't matter.
Repeat
That's
that.
not
You
the
don't
point.
care if what we
It,
say exists. We're just going to tell you you're wrong because we said so.
no, I'm not saying that at all. Listen very
Oh,
carefully.
okay. So then
So
where are
I say
you
listen very
wrong
carefully, and
then?
you start talking. Great. So what I said was we may not ever have zero. Zero might not exist, in which it really doesn't actually. So we know that we have a measurement. That is the tangible proof. We don't need to extrapolate. All we need to do is use that evidence that we have a vacuum, a very high vacuum at 100,000 feet, which we can measure, and nothing is moving into it. Why? Because air has weight. It's that simple.
Okay, so you have evidence of positive pressure and not the evidence that you claimed that you had of the negative part, right?
There's no
So it's
negative.
like, or the zero part, right?
There's
So
no
we
zero.
have
No
a
one
problem
talks
there
about zero.
with your double speaking, and we're always going to have problems
You are
with you
double speaking.
interrupting when somebody's making a point that disproves your Narnia.
No one said there was zero. No one said there had to be zero. No one said space was zero.
Bro, this is recorded. You
Go
did.
ahead, record it. I'm telling you
And
what
then
you need to know. You're not listening. When you play this back, you'll see how silly you're being. There's no zero. Space is not zero. It's always going to be a positive number. We have measurements that is
Correct.
evidence that there is a vacuum above our heads, and yet things are not moving up into it. And I said, for the fourth time, why is the pressure at 14.7 not moving into the 0.05 psi pressure that is above us? Very high.
I missed it. You said you do have evidence of that there's nothing above you. So what's your evidence?
I didn't say that.
You just said that.
Is this like insanity room here? Listen.
You just said you have it. You have evidence.
You record it, play it back. There is no evidence. There's no theory. There's no idea. No one's ever said there is zero above us, zero pressure. There's always some pressure.
Then you're saying a vacuum.
Even in space, there is some pressure.
So we have a container.
No container. Actually, no, sorry. There is a containment. The containment is by virtue of air's weight. That is the containment. That is what contains air, not a physical barrier. Thank you for talking over me again, Cuddles. Using your own advice.
Well, you're lying.
Hello.
Walls is a container. Weight was never a container.
Yes, weight is the containment.
It's not even considered
by virtue of air's weight, it contains it. Yes, just like by virtue of the forces generated by a F-16's wing, it can contain the low pressure, a vacuum above its wing, right next to 14.7 psi. Why? Because as long as a force is provided, that will contain the air. Doesn't matter whether it's a wall or.
I think it has more to do with the electrical nature of the thing. Yeah. Because you said static earlier, and you ran away from that.
Try again. Go ahead. Hello? Try again.
You said static earlier, and you ran away from that pretty hard. And the funny thing is, oh man.
I never said static.
Yeah, it's not worth it, dude. It's just like drop out.
I'm seeing that.
I never said static. Why are you telling me I said static?
Bro, I don't know if you can keep up with what you say because you monologue so damn much.
When did I say static and what did I mean by it? If you were listening, which you weren't.
Having to do with the air and the measuring and the weight. Back in your original example or second example.
I didn't. Are you eating food or something? You're not focusing. I didn't say static.
I took a bite while I was talking. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I'm not eating, and I'm telling you what the situation is. There is no static. I didn't mention static. I said hydrostatics. The law of hydrostatics, the law of atmospheres, talks about air having weight, and that gives us the gradient. There's no need for a physical container. Again, there's no difference for containment, whether it be a force acting on the fluid or a physical wall, a physical container that's acting on the liquid. There's no difference at all. As long as there's a force, it'll be contained. That should be a simple concept for you to grasp.
It's wrong because a container is never mentioned by being a force. Containers are physical. Yeah, by definition, containers are physical.
There's no difference between the Boolean reactions of molecules hitting the container or hitting each other. That is a known. The Gaussian collisions. These Gaussian collisions are no different by hitting the container wall, which is changing their direction, which any rate of change of momentum is defined as a force.
No.
And when he yes, any
No.
rate of change of any rate of
Enforced by
let me
area.
finish. Any rate of change of momentum is defined as a force. That force can be generated by bouncing off the container or off each other. As long as those molecules change direction, that is a rate of change of momentum, which is defined as a force. Sorry, you're wrong.
No, force by area is the collision of the gas molecules with the walls of the container.
No, you can have. Yeah, I can put a sensor.
No. I'm giving you the facts here.
You're not giving me the facts. You're making up things. You're just using words.
Force by area is the collision with the walls.
Nope.
By area. By area. What is an area of a molecule?
You're just throwing out words and terms you don't quite understand.
No.
Yes.
No, it's not just words and terms.
It is words.
It's what we use to express what is gas pressure.
How do you measure gas
by area?
No. Yes.
It's
a value spread out over an area. That area doesn't have to be on a wall. It could be just an area in space.
Area in space, area in nothing. But
yes,
force by area, force on nothing.
How many molecules per unit volume? For example,
can you exert force on nothing?
Look, you're just saying words. I'm not going to engage with you because you're being obstinate and you're being illiterate.
Okay.
You're being physics illiterate right now.
Right quick, and I'll read something. Okay, Zanick. you mute, buddy, and I'll read the hydrostatics things. We're having a problem here. Hydrostatics is the branch of fluid mechanics that studies fluids at hydrostatic equilibrium. The pressure in a fluid or exerted by a fluid on an immense body or an immersed body. The word hydrostatics is sometimes used to refer specifically to water and other liquids, but most often includes both gases and liquids, whether compressible or incompressible. It encompasses the study of the conditions in which fluids are at rest, which is what we don't have here on Earth. They're at dynamic flux all the time. And a stable equilibrium. It is opposed to fluid dynamics, the study of fluids in motion, which is what we have a constant of, right? So fluid dynamics is what's going on, and what you're trying to say is that it is weird. Hydrostatics is
you're just going to confuse yourself.
Fundamental to hydraulics, the engineering of equipment for storing, transporting. It's irrelevant. Geophysics, astrophysics.
You're just going to confuse yourself. All you're going to do. You're saying
all
the right things because it's out of a book, but you're not understanding what you're saying.
It has to do with things that are at equilibrium. Okay, so the wind is blowing. Is anything at equilibrium? So does anything that you're talking about actually fit into nature? No. Next
I love that you
problem.
Just completely bastardized the understanding of what you read, but it's just kind of more entertainment for me than anything else.
Hydrostatics is the branch of fluid mechanics that studies fluids at hydrostatic equilibrium. That means putting them somewhere and minimizing any and all other effects on it.
Why don't you do a Google search
and say or no? Yes or no? Yes?
No.
Well, that's what it says.
Because you're taking it out of context.
No, I'm reading it verbatim.
The atmosphere is based on...
I didn't even paraphrase it. I read it.
Yeah, you did. You did. You read it and you said...
you're
not understanding the application of equilibrium in that particular sentence you read. You're not getting it. You're clearly confused, and I don't need to be your educator here. All you have to do is maybe do a search like, is hydrostatics?
You literally
involved?
come here and
can I finish the sentence?
And then
I was in the middle. I had 3 words. I had 3 words in a sentence.
3 words into grandstanding. Get on with it.
All you got to do is do a Google search saying, is hydrostatics part of the law of atmospheres? Atmospheres talks about wind and dynamics. Go see what it says, and then you might learn something. You're making assumptions, and they're dangerous because you're confusing yourself. I'll do it for you.
Go ahead and put yourself on mute. man, because you weren't a good moderator. So hydrostatics encompasses the study of conditions under which fluids are at rest in stable equilibrium. It is opposed to fluid dynamics, the study of fluids in motion, which is what we have when we have wind and the ocean current. So what you're trying to do is pigeonhole a subject that has nothing to do with nature as we know it and experience it, and say that this is how it must be, even though you have no proof.
Are you ready to listen now?
No, not to you. You're
Well,
wrong.
you asked me a question. You want to know why I'm wrong? Look,
How the
I'm
dynamic
moderating now. It's
nature
my
of
turn to
fluids in
talk, and I'm going to
motion
respond to you. You said
disprove
your
your
piece. You
pigeonholing
said
of
your
a subject
piece.
you don't
I'm
even
done.
understand.
Hey, you're done.
Oh,
If I had a mute button, I'd
you
mute
didn't
you. Now put
interrupt.
yourself on mute.
I know.
Gio, as the moderator, I'd like to have him on mute so I can actually respond to him. He's continuing to talk.
Bro, you were supposed to be moderating the other guy and
No,
yourself,
you
not
need to be
me.
moderated because obviously proved it. You read
No,
something.
because you
You said I'm
interrupted,
wrong, and
bro.
I can't even respond. Let me respond.
You
Shut up.
interrupted.
No, you said everything, and you continue to grandstand as someone said
You
I
did
was.
interrupt.
Pardon me?
You did interrupt, Cuddles.
Thank you. So, Cuddles, you're done. Let me speak, and you put yourself on mute. Let me see the mute button by your name. Okay. So, hydrostatics have a direct and fundamental relationship with the laws of the atmosphere. The atmosphere is largely in a state of hydrostatic balance or equilibrium, as you said, meaning the upward pressure force, the pressure gradient force from the air below exactly balances the downward force of the weight of the air acting on this mass of air above it. So there, and I can give you equations all day long that support this. Just because you read something doesn't mean you understand it. Just because you read it aloud doesn't mean you understand it. Because you don't. And I've just shown you with proof by the definitions of the words that you're using that you are incorrect. Hopefully that made sense. Thank you.
He's gone already. He left after after the last thing, right before I reminded you that you were the one interrupting him.
But I didn't. I waited him very patiently.
You are now gaslighting me. You literally did.
I'm not gaslighting you. You're wrong because I waited for
You
him to.
literally interrupted him. You did not. You did not wait.
He finished the entire.
You're just lying to my face. It's
He
not
said,
very credible.
let me finish my sentence.
I don't give a fuck. Your
Read
sentence is
something.
just a blatant
He said,
lie.
put myself on mute.
It's
I put
lies about
myself
meta.
on mute. You're not
It's
listening.
lies about meta.
I put myself on mute. He rambled on about hydrostatics and had an equilibrium, and I waited till it was finished.
Dude, you're just lying and crying. You're lying and crying.
You know what? You're worse than he is.
Yeah, because nobody wants to hear you lie and cry. Either say something substantive
I basically
or shut
said,
up.
put yourself on mute, and he went away. I read what I needed to read. They say that hydrostatics are a fundamental portion of the law of atmospheres. And I actually explained why, and he was gone. And you could hear it if you wanted to benefit from it, but you didn't. All you could focus on was me.
Now you're lying and crying again.
Now
Now you're lying and crying again.
And now no, I'm not lying.
No,
and
shut up. You're lying and crying. Go on mute, bro. You're not contributing.
The fact that you allow someone like that to entertain his gerbil.
You're lying and crying again. Say something substantive.
I'm not lying. I'm just surprised that you think that's actually
You're lying
beneficial.
and crying. You're literally lying and crying right now.
Listen to yourself. Grow up. Come on.
Yeah, lying and crying. Go ahead. So do you agree that science is based off induction and natural laws? And Zanick, you could answer affirmatively. Yeah, as long as you're not lying and crying and we're engaging, it'd be all right.
I'm not gonna. I'm not going to engage with you if you're going to be interruptive and rude. You're going to be
That's just
polite
you lying
and,
and crying.
and normal,
You're
intelligent.
lying and
I'll interact with
crying.
you.
It's not
I'm not
polite to
crying.
lie and
You keep
cry.
on blabbing things out like a child.
It's
You're the one that
not
needs to
polite
stop.
to lie
Grow
to
up.
another grown man's
Grow
face.
up.
It's not
Grow
polite.
up.
It's
Seriously.
not mature. It's not mature. You need to grow up because you shouldn't lie to other grown man's face. It's not mature to just lie and cry. It's not mature. It's not productive, and it's not good etiquette.
Who's crying now?
Okay, instead of
No,
going back,
I'm not crying. I'm explaining to you
No, you're
how it's
crying.
not good.
is this working? Instead of back and forth talking about who's crying or not, Zanick, if you actually have
I
time to
just
sit
asked him a
around here,
question.
if you have time,
He interrupts
Zanick,
him
to
too
sit
while you're at it.
around here, instead of, or also before when you were saying you don't have time to educate someone who's talking about the question they're asking you, maybe focus on that as opposed to just wasting time talking about who's crying or not. I'd love to just be able to listen to that
You
instead.
I
better
just
than paying
asked him a
attention.
legit question. I just asked him a legit substantive question, and he chose not to
He's
engage and lie
speaking
and
to me. Let me
cry.
respond to him.
No, I literally asked you earlier an engaging question right after you went on mute.
After you're telling me I'm crying
You
and you're
pitched
actually
back
doing the
up.
same thing I'm
You
thinking
pitched
doing.
back up just to lie and cry instead of answer
No,
the substantive
no.
question.
I'm going to respond to him
Can you
because he
even
asked the
remember? Can you
question.
even remember the substantive question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, repeat the substantive question.
You said is science inductive?
Based on natural law, correct?
Based on natural law?
Yeah, like natural laws, like
No,
being a
you
thing.
can actually use science to actually generate natural law. So it can't be.
Yeah,
You
so
can't
you
use
have
one
to have the concept
circular
of
reasoning.
natural laws to have science. Yes. So
No,
what you just said is
you
affirmative.
don't. No, it's not because you can actually generate natural laws by using
Yeah.
science.
So that it's based on the idea of making natural laws. Yeah,
No,
that's
you didn't say
based
making
on
natural
natural
laws. Now you're
laws as
just
a
putting a
concept.
verb in there.
Based on the concept of natural law, literally.
Well, now
You're
the
talking about
general
how
concept.
you're
You'll be
talking about
making it or you're using
you're
it.
talking
Okay,
about how it
you're just changing it
discovers.
as you go.
You're talking about how science discovers natural laws. So that is an affirmative. It is based on the idea that there's natural laws.
No, you
That's an
said using
affirmative
natural
answer, but
laws.
you're posing it. You're posing that as not an affirmative answer. Like you're
You
saying
don't need to
no
use
with your
natural
tone
laws to do science. You
and
don't
your
need to know
sentiment, but
natural
you're
laws to do
saying
science.
yes in content.
No,
As far as substantive content goes, you're
you don't
agreeing.
like my
But
answer, so you're going to argue with me. Is that what it is?
as far as sentiment and like a phrasing and posturing, you're putting it off as you're disagreeing with me. So you're double speaking.
Well, no, yeah, science can be inductive, but it's not doesn't you have to use natural laws.
There's no natural laws now.
You don't have to
So
use
you're
them.
double
I'm not
speak.
saying
Yeah,
they
you're
don't
double speaking.
exist. Natural laws
Dude, are you
exist.
retarded?
You don't need to use
So
natural
it's so
laws.
he's a contrarian, bro. He's literally phrasing and posturing his argument as if it disagrees with natural laws and what I said, while literally the content is him agreeing with natural laws. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Would you agree that science is the study of the natural environment and the understanding of the natural environment, how it works?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I could agree to
Okay.
that.
Then we agree to that. Good. We don't need to go any farther than that. What's your point of that? Rather than a gotcha or something immature like that.
So that's why you're doing all these tactics, because you're perceiving that in the future I'll have a gotcha for you. Nice.
I don't think you want to. I think you know what science is intuitively, and I think I know what science is. So why would you ask the
Science.
question?
Wait, the modern method of science, this modern scientific method is not intuitive. If it was, it wouldn't have been a modern invention. We just would have always had it throughout humanity.
Actually, it is intuitive, and that's where it came from. They organized those thoughts of what science is and how we understand, how we learn about things, and they put it into a format. This whole see the observation, develop a hypothesis, test the hypothesis through experimentation, and then make your conclusions. That's just more,
So so the format is just
organization.
a vanity. We don't need to use the format whatsoever.
No,
We just need to
that's been
follow our
proven.
intuition.
We have been talking about that over and over again for years. That is like a kindergarten idea of what science is, a scientific method. It doesn't always follow that.
The scientific method is a kindergarten idea. Last time I checked, it was like the greatest intellectual mind of the 1600s came up with the scientific methodology. So I
Really?
think you're out of your depth. A guy with
No.
like is supposed that people think he had the highest IQ in all of history. The guy, Sir Francis Bacon or whatever. So you're shitting on him, yet you double speak, and he established the paradigm you go off of.
You're taking it out of context. This rudimentary, basic idea of the scientific method is not used generally by all scientists. Variations of it.
Yeah, you're insulting your own
I'm not-
paradigm.
I'm not insulting. It was a very good general idea that people use sometimes, not all the
Dude,
time.
you're a politician. You're not even a debater. You're a politician. You're a
I'm
you're
just
a
giving you the
rhetoric.
fact. Why don't you
You're a
look up? Is the
solipsist.
scientific always used by
No, sorry,
scientists?
not a solipsist. You're a sophist. Sorry, wrong word. You're a sophist. That's what
Okay,
you are.
let's do this together.
You're a sophist, dude.
Yeah, you don't want to hear the truth. You're just not here for the truth. You're here to argue. You're just an arguer.
You are a sophist. You're projecting. You are just a contrarian sophist. You're the one just here to argue.
No, I was here to talk about the law of atmospheres and hydrostatics, and then someone went on a Google
I literally
search.
began by trying to ask you.
Why do you
normal
talk?
questions.
Why are you
assumed
talking over me?
You assumed I had a gotcha, and then
Yeah,
didn't
so what is
actually
it?
answer.
So
It
what do you
didn't
want
actually
to?
answer the
Are
substantial
you trying to
question
learn
I
something?
was
Or
giving you.
well, if you're trying to learn something from me, is it kind of interesting? You're asking me that question. Do you want to learn what it is, or are you trying to gotcha?
Or maybe I'm trying to teach you something.
Zanick,
so
don't
you're
even
not trying.
bother
So
with
it is a
Zanick.
so it
Don't
is
even
gotcha.
bother with this guy, dude. I've heard him for the past month. All he does is interrupt.
Oh,
It's not
he's
even
interrupting
worth it.
me.
He's not
Though.
here to have a back
Cry
and forth.
baby. It's like the crybaby brigade.
There you go, being immature again.
Yeah, crying about other men is immature. I agree.
I'm not crying about other men. You are.
Yeah, you literally are. You and your boy who just interrupted just to cry and talk about that and not actually bring
Okay,
up anything
let's
substantive.
do it. Okay, can I speak for a second without being interrupted maturely? Okay.
So wait, is it based on
I just
natural
asked if I could
laws?
speak, and you're going to say no.
Yeah,
I
but
was asking for permission.
I didn't say yes.
I'm trying to be an adult here, and you are the one over
You're not your
talking.
grandstanding.
Zanick, it's a
about being an
kid, man.
adult.
Don't even bother. It's like
Okay,
20-something. He doesn't
non-substantive
have any
point.
etiquette.
Non-substantive point. No actual
He was
content
doing this to
given.
Witch the other day too.
No
Couldn't even
actual
fucking have a back and forth.
actual substantive content from
Yeah.
Awakened. So, Zanick, or anyone who wants to bring substantive content up to the room and not just complain and cry like a baby, natural laws and science being based off natural law, the idea of there are laws in nature, and science being based off induction. If anyone wants to speak on that and give a actual substantive opinion and not just cry about me, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to respond to this because this is what I'm trying to get out. Why you've been talking over me? So no, if you do a quick search, says no. The basic linear scientific method taught in school, observation, hypothesis, experiment, analysis, conclusion, is not used in that strict order by all scientists. While the textbook scientific method is helpful, real-world science is much richer, messy, and more iterative process. So there you go. That's what I was trying to say, and thank you for letting me get it out for once without interrupting me, ironically.
Okay, no need to crying at the end. So yeah, basically appeal to AI to just repeat what you said and not actually bring any proof to what you were saying. Just prompting AI to just repeat your claim more eloquently. So you're done.
I said that exactly. This almost the exact words. By the way, my search was, is basic scientific method used by all scientists? And that's what came up.
Yeah, appeal to AI. Don't bring any support to the argument. Appeal to AI. Don't bring any support to the argument. Don't bring any support to the argument. Literally, just repeat your claim that you made in a more eloquent way that AI spelled it out for you. Thank you. You have not actually rebutted anything that was said. You're done.
We don't even need to appeal to AI to make that point, though, because I've gone to the best sources that we have. Because I study in university, I went to our university library and I looked up. It's not appeal to credentials. I'm gonna give you the source. So it's an appeal to source. The preamble was a preamble. I'm appealing to a source. So I went to the university library and I looked up what actual scientific sources say about this. And actual scientific sources also say that there is no such thing as one scientific method that everybody follows dogmatically.
That's because
it
you guys
varies
don't
and it
follow
has.
the scientific method anymore, so you're trying to redefine it.
No, that's how science works. You can either cry about it or you can accept it, but you cannot make up shit
way
about
to
it.
test the cause of something if you manipulate the variables. You guys don't isolate variables. You just do circular reasoning. You look at phenomena and you already have a model and it proves the model because the phenomena exists.
That's just a dogmatic view promoted by flat earthers and conspiracy theorists. There are many brilliant reasons for why science actually follows the path that it follows instead of the dogmatic road that you guys want to advance.
Oh yeah, controlling for variables and isolating a variable, that's
Bro,
dogmatic. Good job.
Yo, just let him
No
bury
one says
himself. He's basically,
no one says that you
you're
don't test
admitting.
for variables.
Hold on, dude.
We're just saying
You're
you do not
yo,
follow the same steps all the time.
Yo, you're admitting, right, that there's no meaningful definition for the scientific method, that it's arbitrary. That's known as nominalism.
Bingo!
It's nominalism.
Bingo! Yo, Lion gets the crown.
That's not
Lion gets
correct,
the
though.
crown right
That's
there.
You
not
just
correct, though.
admitted to it. You appeal to a
I
soul.
didn't admit it,
You think that
and
because you
it's
appeal
fine.
to
You
a
can
source.
spiral. You can spiral, but
You're
I can
cooked.
tell you
You're
why you're wrong.
cooked.
That's wrong.
Spiraling.
You're
Okay,
cooked.
good.
It's nice that you want to claim that I'm cooked, but I will show you exactly why I'm not cooked.
Go ahead.
I am not a robot. I
yeah.
promise. I am Lauri. I am
That's-
not a robot. I am real.
Yeah, that's nice. You can do that. I can just put you on mute.
All right, show us how you're not cooked. Go ahead, please.
Sure. So
I am not good because I can
why.
appeal to the library.
All right, Q.
Well, that's fine,
All right,
QOP. If you cannot let people speak on this server, you can just be muted because you're not the moderator here. So if you want to disrupt the conversation, welcome to getting muted by the actual moderators because you do not run this server. So shut the fuck up and go on mute, you little bitch.
Okay.
Now let me finish my statement.
Why did you guys let Lauri call me?
That's it. It's over.
Lauri.
It's over.
So let me
come on,
finish
Q.
my
Let him.
statement. Yeah. Here is why. So the original argument was something like, okay, you do not have it's arbitrary. You do not have one unitary definition for the scientific method. Well, in real life, there is very rarely one unit solitary definition for anything. Can you define what a word is? No. If you go to ask any linguist, is there one proper clear definition for what a word means? No, there isn't. Ask a mathematician. Can they define what a number is?
This is solipsism.
No, they cannot.
Yeah, you're devolving.
Solipsism.
No, he's right. You're devolving into
It's not
solipsism.
solipsism. It's not solipsism.
Nothing is objective. Nothing
It is
has
simply.
He is devolving.
It is not solipsism. It's simply at being realistic about the limits of human definition. And you guys
there's
can
no
cry
meaning
about it.
to the word science?
You guys can cry about it all 7 days to hell. I do not care. That's how the world works. So it's simply a question. It's simply a question.
His rebuttal is there's no meaningful definition to words.
I don't care.
Wow.
I'm still speaking.
But you're done with your point, bro.
It's literally. I will finish my statement. You can go fuck yourselves. It's literally a question of do you want to accept reality or not? So you
okay, so
are.
that last part wasn't a point.
Your position is no. We will not accept reality.
That's not a point. You're not. That's not a point. That's not a point, and that's not a point. You're done. You're done with your point. You're done with your rebuttal. Your rebuttal's over. Your rebuttal's over. You're just grandstanding.
You are cooked.
You're done. Your rebuttal's over.
Yes,
it's
you
just
are done. You are cooked.
Now let Lion destroy your rebuttal because it was horrible.
No,
Go ahead.
I just said it, dude. His rebuttal, right?
Wow, you just submitted to the alpha. Wow.
Is that there's no meaningful definitions to words. That's it, dude.
That was a horrible rebuttal.
You're right.
Words are arbitrary.
I can correct you right there. I can correct you right there. I can correct you right there if you let me.
I can correct you right there. But dude, for those that want to know more about this, right? It's known as nominalism.
It's
nominalism.
Not nominalism.
He devolved into nominalism.
I can correct you right there. Again, you're lying about what I said, because you claimed that I said there is no meaningful definition. That's a complete and total lie. I am a translator. If I was to argue that there is no meaning to definitions, well, I couldn't do my fucking job, because my job is to act as a translator. Of course, there are meaningful definitions, but the definitions
You're
are
excused,
not
Qab. Go
100.
ahead.
They are not 100%.
Go ahead, Qab. Do whatever you like.
There is absolute. I'm still finishing my statement. Also, you can go fuck yourself, and you can shut the fuck up. I'm finishing my statement. There
I am Lauri. Why did you guys mute me? You can't handle my insult.
Yeah, so far, Lion said that so there's a definition of science, then you said no, there's not a solid definition of science. It's more of I don't even know how to really describe what
It's
you were describing.
arbitrary. It's arbitrary.
Yeah, it's like an arbitrary like meaning or whatever definition that changes from case to case.
That's what I initially said.
And then he said that's nominalism, to which you did not rebut it. There was no rebuttal to the nominalism.
So he's got other accounts, by the way. He's gonna probably come in on his other accounts after a little bit. But yeah, that's what I said, that they just changed the definition of scientific method. So when you look it up now, it won't show you the independent dependent variable.
Sure. So here are 2 points where you have been wrong. Firstly, I never said that it's arbitrary. So if you want to say that that's your opinion, you're strawmanning me if you want to say that that's my opinion.
You were making, dude.
No, it wasn't. So that's just you doubling down on the lie. Secondly, the second point that you lied about.
If it's not arbitrary, then what is it?
Hold on, I was speaking. So secondly, the second
you just
point
said the point was wrong, but you didn't say
I don't care. I was continuing my statement. You can shut the fuck up.
So it's just a baseless claim. You don't care that it's a baseless claim?
You can shut the fuck up, and you can ask me later. If you cannot handle normal
care that you're
conversation,
making baseless claims.
If you cannot handle normal conversation and wait for your turn, go fuck yourself.
Normal conversation doesn't actually have turns. So.
I do not fucking care. You can go fuck yourself. The second point, I will finish my statement, even if it tears you apart. The second point you lied about is that I said that there is no meaning to definitions. So my question to you is, why did you choose to lie about those two things? Why are you such a liar?
Can you please support your first claim?
Why
you just made a claim, but you didn't support it.
For you has to mean that you lied.
You just made a claim. You just made a claim, but you didn't support it.
You lied about that. You fucking moron.
So you're not actually saying anything. You're just chanting claims.
My question is, can you be accurate?
You're chanting claims.
Or not? Can you be accurate, or can you just lie?
You're chanting claims, but not supporting them. That's not an argument.
He's gonna go back and forth on semantics for hours.
Just try to actually accurately represent what I say. That's my challenge to you.
You chanted a claim, and then you didn't support it. Could you please support your first claims?
So my first claim was, I never said that. You can go back on the tape and you can listen to the tape. That's my support.
So you don't have any support. You have no support for your claim.
I do have it. You can go back and listen to the tape.
Give it to us now. No, you didn't. You didn't support it. Give it to us now.
Now you're just crying about all that never happened.
Please support your argument.
You're literally trying to gaslight me into. Oh, no, you never said it.
Please support your argument right now.
You're gaslighting now.
Independent of you supporting it in the past, support it right now.
You are saying you never said the thing that you said.
Support it right now. Please Please make a well laid out argument and support it, sir.
Sure. Can you actually support your own argument? Because your argument is that I lied about my claim that you lied.
Please present the argument on scientific method and support it now about your definition that it's not the linear scientific method or whatever that we all learn, that it's something else that changes context to context. And then please show us, if it's not arbitrary, where the non-arbitrariness comes from, sir, instead of just grandstanding, please.
You are changing the topic, because the topic was literally, did I say that it's arbitrary or did I not say
That's not, the topic isn't you. The topic is the scientific method, you dingbat.
The topic was that.
The topic is not you. You're not, you were never the topic. Not once were you ever the topic. Sorry.
Of course I am the.
If
Of
anything,
course
you
I
were
am
a
the
side
topic.
topic. If anything, you were a side topic because you're
You guys
irritating.
made
The main
me
topic
the
is the
topic by
scientific.
saying that I
The
am cooked and I am
main
cooked and I am
topic is the
cooked. You made
scientific
me the
method. You
topic, you
weirdo.
fucking moron. You made me the
Okay.
topic. If you don't like me being the topic, then stop making me the topic. Because you said that I am
No,
cooked.
you were
You
never
said
the
that
topic.
I said that it's
Lie.
arbitrary, and
Now
you said
you're
that
lying.
I said that there is no
Now you're
meaning
lying. Now
to
you're lying.
definitions. So the
Nobody
topic
ever said you
currently
were the
is why
topic.
you chose to lie.
Oh, no,
The
no, no.
topic
I
isn't
never
even
even
me.
said
The
that.
topic
That's what
is
Lion
your
said.
lies.
That's what Lion said, you
Yes,
weirdo.
yes, and
You're
Lion
misquoting.
lied. So
You're
the topic
misquoting. You're
currently is
misquoting.
Lion
You're
and him
accusing
being
me
a
of.
liar.
Okay. If he's
The
a
topic
liar,
is Lion and him being a liar. You are trying to deflect from the topic.
no, the topic is the scientific method. What makes a
The
scientific
topic
method
is Lion and why he is a liar.
Please stop focusing on meta. The topic is what makes a scientific method not arbitrary if it changes in every single case that it's used. Please show us how it's not arbitrary.
It's not arbitrary because arbitrary means that there is no limit whatsoever. And that's not how the scientific method
Okay,
works.
cite the limit.
Let me clarify it. Here is how, like, you could say cars are arbitrary because there is no single, like, cars look very different.
Cite the limit that
Cars
you
are
invoke.
arbitrary. Cars
This is
are,
a
there is
metaphor,
no
not the
single
limit.
definition for, no, I'm clarifying the point. If you
This
can
is a
say that
metaphor.
scientific, there is only a limited amount of forms that scientific method takes. There is also a limited
Okay,
amount of
cite the
forms that
limit. Cite the
cars
limited
take.
forms.
If you
Cite the
can
limited
say,
form.
I don't care. You can shut the fuck up because I was speaking. First
Cite the
listen and then
limited
ask your
forms. Cite the
first
limited
listen and
forms,
then
please.
ask your question. First listen and then
You're
ask your
acting very
question.
childish. Let him
No,
speak.
you're acting childish because you're literally
Not
talking
you.
over me. So I
No,
have
you're
to
right.
shout.
He
I'm
literally
talking about.
attacks you, Zanick. That's so funny. So yeah, cite the limited forms, please, sir. The ones that you claimed.
Cite the limited forms. Go fuck yourself and go study the topic, you moron.
So no support for your argument. No support.
I'm
No
ready to
support.
already
Your
give you.
argument falls on nothing, but you chanting your claim.
Fuck you.
You're done.
All right. Let me show why you are done. Your argument is so stupid. Your argument is literally cite me all of the forms of the scientific method. So literally go and research all of the fields. Go research mathematics, geometry, translation,
Those were two math.
biology,
That
and
was
then come back.
linguistics. That
So
wasn't
literally
even science.
your only argument, I
The
don't
first
care,
things you
I'm
cited
finishing
weren't
my
even
statement.
science,
Shut
you
the fuck
confused
up.
fuck.
So literally your argument
That's
is
not a
if
rebuttal.
you cannot go to all of the fields of science and research all of them in what form,
That's not my
what
argument.
from the
Straw
scientific
man
method,
alert.
then you cannot even talk about the topic. That was the argument
Straw
that you
man alert.
gave.
Straw
So
man
it's
alert.
a stupid argument. Can you go and research the scientific
Yeah,
method that
I
it
agree.
doesn't?
That straw man
Go.
is a stupid argument.
How about you go and you look at all the fields of that the scientific method takes place in, and
You're
you
making
show
a claim,
me that
please
it's
support it.
always the
You're making the
same.
claim, please
How
support.
about you go and you prove that it is always the same? Because
You're
you are
making the
claiming
claim, not
that.
me. You're making the claim, not
No,
me. Go support
you
it.
are making. You guys were making the first claim. You guys are making the claim that it always takes one form, and that's a positive claim if what is. So you have the burden of
Yeah, so
proof.
we gave you the one
I'm
form.
just
We
saying
gave you the
no.
one form.
I'm
Burden
just saying
fulfilled.
no. So
Burden fulfilled.
the burden of proof is not on me. I'm not making the
Burden
positive
fulfilled
claim. You
by
are making
us.
the
Burden
positive claim
fulfilled
that
by
it
us.
always. Yes,
Burden fulfilled.
it is your burden of proof. You are making the positive claim
It's
that it
fulfilled.
always takes one form.
Oh, it's
So
fulfilled.
are you gonna
the one
prove it or
form.
are you
Burden
not
of proof
gonna prove
fulfilled.
it?
Yeah, already proved, already fulfilled. The form was given. The form was given. The form was given.
Bro, you guys.
Show me now
I
where you
realized.
proved it.
Hold on, Lauri. I realize there's probably nobody in here modding right now. I'm on a phone call. Can you guys please, for the sake of people are spending their time to be here and listen, could you please go one at a time so we can hear what's being said? For the sake of everybody listening, could you please do that? I got to go
Can I
back on my
mod Gio?
call.
Gio,
I'm
can
on
I
a
mod?
call, so I can't stay here. But
Gio, can I mod?
listen for a second.
I will mod.
I could give you a
I
mod
vote
role,
yes.
but
let me mod.
I'll back
reject.
out. I'll back out, and I'll mod Zanick.
Well, we don't really want to like mute anyone because it just the
I'm not
person
going to mute.
feels shut. Hold on, the person feels shut down. it's always usually both people interrupting. You can't really mute both. So we don't really want to mute. Zanick, you're the honorary mod, but we're just not going to mute anyone anyways. So just we don't have to mute anyone, and just be cool. Just have a convo, guys. I got to go back on my call, so I can't.
I'm going to mod, gentlemen. I expect you to have back and forth in good faith and no insults. Try not to be children. Try to be adults, and just make your point. And let's move forward. Go ahead.
Okay, as a gentleman, he says that the scientific method has a plethora of forms, but then says it is not an arbitrary plethora of forms, that there is a limitation. I then asked, what is the limitations? What are these plethora of forms? Could you define these in any way whatsoever? He refused to actually give support to his argument and just metacried for 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
So if I can give you a limitation, for example, let's say that I try to
Who
do a
is this guy?
scientific
I am
study.
Lauri. I am back. Why has he been talking?
Okay, can you guys put this guy on mute? So let me say,
he is the fake Lauri. I am
have
the real
a djembe
No,
drum.
let him.
I have a djembe drum right in front
hold
of
on a
me
second,
here.
Hold on, Lauri, don't interrupt him. Let him speak, please. Be polite.
So I have a djembe drum. I have a djembe drum right in front of me. If I bang on the drum and then say that was my scientific study, period. That is not going to be a scientific study because it didn't do anything. I just created a sound, but there is no even a train of logic there. There is no conclusion. There is no logic applied. So of course it cannot be science. So already that's some limit. So it's not arbitrary now, is it? It cannot take any fucking form. And if you go to run outside and then you come back sweaty and you smell, well, that's not a scientific experiment. That's just you being a dumbass.
Okay, so I asked for like an objective limit to which stops the scientific method to being arbitrary, because he said there's no one definition with no one meaning. So if there's not one meaning, not one definition, I said, okay, so there's a plethora of meanings and definitions. Couldn't it mean anything? He said, no, it's not arbitrary. There's a limitation to what it means. I asked for the boundaries of what is the boundaries of what makes something science versus what makes something not science. He then responded with pounding a drum and running outside and getting sweaty. You're done.
That doesn't mean that I'm done, because I showed you a limit. You asked me to show a limit, so I gave you what you asked for. How am I done when I give you what you asked for? It makes no sense.
I am done. Let's change that topic.
So outside of pounding a drum and running outside sweaty, everything else is science. You're done.
Did I say that? You made that claim.
Yes,
so
I
how
did.
if you make the claim, if you make the claim that everything outside of that, if you make the claim, I think you guys cannot handle this conversation, because now it's two guys interrupting me.
You haven't answered.
I think you guys are done because you guys cannot handle this conversation. It's literally two people interrupting me. So I think you are done.
uninterrupted and your answer was a guy sweating. You're done.
So here is why you are done. You tried to claim that I just said that those two are the only limits. I gave you two limits. I didn't say that was everything. So you're being a lying moron, because you now have to put the words inside my mouth that was the only limit, therefore you're done. That's a lie. So you have shown yourself to be a dirty fucking liar. That's why you are done. Because I never said that those two limits were the only limits, you fucking asshole. Do you understand
me? So I can respond already. Fuck. Okay, so he said that there's a plethora of different meanings and definitions to the scientific method. I said, okay, so it can mean anything, it's arbitrary. He then said, no, it's not arbitrary, it has limitations. I asked him, what are the limitations of science? He then arbitrarily decided to make up two limits of science. One, a guy running and sweating, and another, a guy pounding on a drum. So he denied that it was arbitrary and then just arbitrarily made shit up and didn't actually give an objective limit. Thank you very much. You're done.
Examples are always going to be somewhat arbitrary. You cannot criticize anything by, oh, you just chose the example at random. Of course, examples are always going to be random. But for example, let me give you an example of the English vocabulary. Car. Well, that was chosen at random. Does it mean that English language doesn't exist because it was an arbitrary word that I chose randomly? Of course not. Examples are always going to be arbitrary, you fucking moron. If you make an argument that I'm done because my example was chosen at random, then you're a fucking moron and you don't understand how language or conversation works. You're done.
It
Okay,
wasn't
so
random.
to the
It comes from the word carriage.
so basically,
Now let me actually ask you a
real
question.
quick, it's
Let me
my
actually ask you a
turn. It is
question.
not your turn. It is
Let
my
me
turn.
actually
You
ask
just
you a
ended your
question.
turn. Okay, ask your question in 3 seconds.
Yeah, let me actually ask you a question. You said earlier, I forget. Okay, go ahead.
You're a fucking moron, dude. Holy shit. That's so
Yes, you are a
funny.
moron.
That's so
You
funny.
are gonna lose.
Okay,
You lost the
so
conversation because you now have to resort to insults. You
you've
now
been
have to
calling me
resort to
moron
insults.
every time.
You
You've been
lose.
calling me
You
moron
lose.
every time, you loser. Okay, so
I don't care.
he claimed the scientific method has a plethora of meaning, a plethora of definitions. I then said, well, then that makes it arbitrary. He then responded with, no, it's not arbitrary, it has limitations. I said, cite the limitations. He's now cited the word car, the phonetic word car, pounding on
That's
a
again a lie.
drum,
I will show you how that's a lie.
pounding on a drum, what was the last one? Running and sweating, saying those are the limitations of science.
Okay.
Please give us
as
an
mod, let me
objective.
jump in because it's getting a little out of control.
Please give us.
I'm the mod. Let me interject.
Please give. 5 seconds. Please stop interrupting.
You're
If you're the
losing it. You're
mod,
losing it.
I'm stopping the
give
conversation
us.
because it's getting out of control.
Please be quiet. Please give us
You don't tell the mod to be quiet.
Please give us the objective limitations that limits the forms of science, thus making it not arbitrary. If you cannot give us the objective limitation and you're just going to give us another arbitrary example, you are done. Thank you.
Let me interject. The problem is you guys are talking past each other. What I hear happening is he's talking about we're trying to describe a chair, and he's saying you can't just describe a chair with using or make a chair with one leg. So this observation without anything else is not the scientific method. That's what he was trying to convey to you. You're taking it and running with it in a whole other direction, and that's not cool either. So just everyone take it down a notch and try to have a back and forth. And I think what he's trying to say is that there's many ways to do science. The scientific method that's talked about in the rudimentary form is not used and ubiquitous. It is just a template. There's many forms of it, and he's true. It is true. You're trying to call him out on it, and he gave you an example of how one way to is just say, I see something. That's the scientific method. No, you need to see something, kind of figure out what's going on, do some testing, in any way, shape, or form, and then come up with some type of conclusion of explaining why what you saw happened. That is what he's trying to say. If I've misrepresented you, Lauri, let me know, but I think that's what you were trying to do.
Yeah, that's accurate. Also, I think the other guy is lying quite a lot. For example, you now added the fact that I supposedly gave the word car as a limitation of science. Of course, that never happened. That was just an example of examples are always going to be arbitrary. So you lied about what I meant when I said that word. So again, you are showing yourself up as a liar. And then that second point that was not everything. You keep lying about so many things. So the second point that you lied about, you said, because now you're asking for the one and single solitary definition for the limitation of science. So it's the limitations of science, everything in one go. But you before, when I gave the examples of banging on a drum or going for a run, you just asked for a limit. And all that means is I need one single counter example, and I have given you what you asked for, because you didn't ask for the limitations, period. You asked for some kind of limitation, and I gave you some kind of limitation. It's not a very good limitation, but it's a limitation, and I chose a poor example exactly because I can show you by how absurd the limitation is that obviously not everything is science. So if we can define that not everything is science, then it means that there has to be some limit. I didn't give you what that limit is, but there is a limit. So it's not
So there he
arbitrary
is. He
now, is it?
admits he admits that he has not given the limit yet. At the end of all that he was saying,
yes, and
he
you
admits
didn't
that he
ask
has
me
not.
for the
He
limit.
admits that he has still not backed up his position, and we've been here for 20 minutes now. Thank you very much.
I backed up my position by showing you that there is a limit. I didn't need to give you the exact limit. Like, for example, it's very hard to define a thing, and it's very hard to show where the limit of the thing is. It's like mapping the coastline of a country. You can go more and more and more precise, and you will never be done. But all I need to show to win the case and to win the argument is to show that there is a limit. And my examples do that very precisely. They show that not everything is science, which means that there is a limit. I just need to show the existence of the limit. I do not need to define the limit. To prove my point and win the argument once and forever, you lost. See you later.
He has no limit that makes what science is and its meanings unarbitrary. He claims he has it, but he cannot present it thus in front of the chat. He admitted that he has not presented it thus far to the chat, and he has
That's a lie. That's a lie.
And he has admitted that he has just given arbitrary examples that he's imagined up, but not actually given us what limits something to being science and what limits something to not being science. He's done.
That's a lie. By the way, I already gave you something that's a lot better than the examples that I gave for, and I actually included in my drum banging example because I said that if I just bang on the drum, and that I say that's my scientific experiment, I didn't even apply logic. So one good limitation of science is if you do not apply logic at any point, then it's not science. Now, you cannot go and lie to the chat and say that I'm done because I gave you a fucking limit right there. And I said that before.
First limitation
so
right
when
now.
you said, hold on, shut the
Logic
fuck
is
up.
his first limitation.
So, because you're interrupting me right now, so I'm going to finish my statement. I'm going to finish my statement right now.
For 30 minutes, you came up with your first limit. Good job, bro. Logic.
Cool.
Round of applause for Lauri.
So,
he finally came up with his first limitation of what science and what's. You know what?
Thank you.
It took you half an hour, but you finally answered the question in some semblance of a manner. Not completely, not to its fullness, but at least gave a partial, somewhat like a slice of the pie. Thank you very much.
I do agree with that. We now agree that I gave it the limitation. But if you listen closely, I already said that I gave it before. Hold on, I'm gonna finish my statement. So if you listen to me closely, I already said that I already mentioned this when I mentioned banging on the drum.
You didn't mention logic.
I did mention the logic. If you didn't hear it back then you were a moron and you were not listening. So the problem is on you not listening back then. No, you weren't, because I said it. I said that I didn't use logic when I banged on the drum. So you're literally lying about it. You're literally lying about it. So now when you claim that I never gave it before and it took me this long,
that him taking 10 minutes to say logic is the actual problem.
You were lying when you said that I didn't do it before.
Controllers.
Okay, so finally, now we can make the steel man of the argument thus far, minusing all the crybaby bullshit meta and just giving the substance. So now, the substantive argument so far, no crybaby. There's a claimed scientific method with a plethora of meanings. And we have given its first limitation,
not
in which things are, please be quiet. And look,
I'm gonna correct you if you're wrong.
Yo, I want to hear this. Yo, I missed it.
From the top. I'm giving the substantive summary without the meta that Lauri takes 10 minutes. So from the top, we have the scientific method, which has a plethora of meanings. Now, it is not an arbitrary plethora of meanings. Please be quiet. Okay, so we have the scientific method, which has a plethora of meanings. These meanings are, please be quiet. We have the scientific method,
If it's
which
my
has a
argument and you
please be quiet.
represent
It's
it
clearly my
inaccurately,
turn.
I'm gonna
It's
correct
very
you.
clearly my turn. Please be quiet. So we have the scientific method, which has a plethora of meanings. This
Not
plethora of meanings,
meanings.
please be quiet.
Hey, you
So I can
guys, hold
start.
on for a
Please be
second. No,
quiet.
hold on, Noah, hold on. Zanick, are you there? Something needs to be done. Zanick.
Yeah, I was thinking about like what would Gio do in a situation, and I gotta say, look, Lauri, you gotta let him finish his sentence so he can get it out. He let you for a little bit, just even though you disagree with it, let him speak.
I'll
All right,
just
but you
point out
kind of need the mod role though, because these guys are just being monsters. Obviously, they're just screaming, and
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm on a phone call, and I'm on
I
a
will
phone
let Noah
call, and
finish.
I mute my phone call for a minute to listen, and I'm listening to this. So Zanick, I'm just gonna give you a guest live stream moderator role, so you have it now. So
Okay.
just don't like abuse it, but like, dude, I mean, we don't want to mute anyone, but like, if
No,
you
I
guys
don't
are
like to mute.
screaming, if you
Yeah,
guys
I
are
don't like to
literally
mute.
screaming at people, like people want to listen to something. So, all right, Zanick, you have
I
a
let
guest mod role, so you
Thank
can
you.
you can mute people. Obviously, don't like abuse it, but like,
No,
if
no,
you
no.
have to, what you could do though, if these guys agree, you could mute Lauri for a minute, let Noah speak his thing, and then mute Noah, and then let Lauri go. You know what I mean? That's an
I see
option.
what's happening here, and I know when to pretty much put him on.
He said to let Lauri go, so I am going to go, you bitches.
Zanuck is your moderator, guys. Go for it. All right, Noah, you were up. I'm still on my call,
Thank you. Okay,
Right.
so this is the Steelman no crybaby meta from this point from the
Are you guys on the same
whole.
topic, bro?
You know what? I give up, dude. I give up.
No, dude, I want to hear
I
this because
win, bitch.
honestly, I
Okay,
wasn't.
can I?
I
Okay,
missed it, yo.
let me
I
give
missed
let me
it.
give
Yo, hold
let me
on,
give
Q.
let me give the Steelman to this point. Then
I
line. Let
want to
me
hear.
give
Yeah,
it.
I just want to hear this. I want to hear the limit.
I've tried now 7 times, and I've only been able to get 3 words
What
out
is the
for the
limit
last
that he
7
put
times.
upon the scientific methods? I
Yes,
want to hear
okay.
this.
I'm going to give the limit. Please just let me speak. Okay, so this is the Steelman so far. The scientific method. It is a term with a plethora of meanings. This plethora of meanings is not arbitrary. It does not cover all meanings that exist. It is a limited plethora of meanings. The one limitation given thus far from Lauri after the past half hour was that the amongst this plethora of meanings of the scientific method, it must use the tool of logic. That is his one limit so far. Things that are not using logic are not scientific. Things that are using logic are not necessarily scientific, but they must use logic to be scientific. This is not a full, exhaustive limitation of what makes things science or not, but it does eliminate a lot of illogical things as being outside of the scientific method. Thank you for being
Bro,
quiet for 30 seconds
how
so we
is
could
the
get.
law? Do the laws of logic have nothing to do with the scientific method? So are you claiming, Lauri, that the law of non-contradiction is part of the scientific method? So quantum physics is out of the picture, I guess.
If you want to argue that, sure, go ahead. But
Well, I'm just taking
I'm not making
if
that
that's what you're
argument.
claiming the scientific method is, it's the laws of logic.
If you want to say that if you want to argue that quantum mechanics is because of the law of non-contradiction, not science, then feel free to say as to why that's the case. You made a claim that that's the case,
Just trying
but
to
you
apply
didn't.
your
You didn't
epistemology to
prove
some
that it's the
scientific
case.
topic we could discuss.
So if you want me to agree that yes, it's not science, then you need to prove why it's not science as per the law of
So the particle
non-contradiction.
wave
Because
duality is a contradiction, correct?
No.
not really, no.
Okay, how is it not? Explain.
It's your argument to prove that it is
Oh,
because
okay.
you're making the
Okay, you're
positive
done.
claim
You're
currently.
done.
No, how am I done if you fail to prove your point? That means that I'm done with
My
you,
point
and
is
that
what I
means that
said.
I'm
I
done
said
with
it is a
you, and I
contradiction. You
stopped
said
to
it's not.
Q-Up,
You
you're
undermine
came
straight
you.
back to.
retarded. Yo, Q-Up. Obviously, they need logic, dude. It's a necessary precondition for knowledge itself. That's a
So
bare
Q up.
minimum, dude.
Yeah, Q up. Why don't you please tell us, because of this particle wave duality, why that is a violation of in any way, shape, or form?
Because a wave is something fields wave. Particles don't wave; they are particles.
Right, but the concept, the general concept, is that there is a characteristic that is exhibited of both.
Okay, so can I progress the conversation forward? So we have our first limitation, the first thing that is.
How is that progressing it forward?
kind
You're
of the
going back to
first.
the semantic argument?
No, please be quiet so I can progress it forward. So we
No,
have
you're
the
just taking it
first.
back to the garbage topic.
Please be quiet so I can make my point in full. So we have the full. So we have our first limitation of science that Lauri has given. This is not a full definition. This is not a full, meaningful thing yet because there's so many things that are logical that fall outside of science. We would all agree. So I would invite Lauri to now give us the second limitation that separates things that are not scientific and scientific. Given that logic, although being a limitation, is not the full set of limitations which makes things scientific. So could you answer that and give us our second limitation, please, sir?
I noticed that you're asking me for the full set of definitions. So basically, the game that you're playing currently is you're gonna say I'm done all the way through unless I come to a complete set of all of the limitations. And that just means that you're trying to put me through hoops, and you're gonna claim that I'm done every single step of the way, even if we're getting closer and closer to the actual definition. And of course, the question is, why would we do that in this conversation when you can just go online and you can, if you have access to university library, that is at least, and you can just look it up in the science textbooks. So why do you ask me to be your science textbook for you? Because, and even if I was to do that, then you would just say, well, that's the modern science textbooks. They are stupid people who do not know what they are talking about. So in a sense, even if I give you the definition of science, as agreed by the scientific community, you will just say that, oh no, that's not actually science though. So why would we go through this path though? Why would we even continue? I already gave you one limit. Why would I continue giving more?
Okay.
I've proven my point.
Okay, so interrupt me if you're a fucking retard. So
Thank you.
two. Okay, I'm gonna start again. Interrupt me if you're retard times two. So that was 2 minutes of meta gargle, no actual substantive answer. I am now going to open the
You're
question
doing
since
meta
Lauri
gargle
did.
right now
Okay,
yourself.
there we go. Now that's okay. I'm gonna restart again. Now, interrupt me if you're a 3 times mental retard. So we have 2 minutes of gargle from Lauri on my question, not answering it. Meta
That's
gargle.
again meta.
So okay. Now I'm gonna start for a 4th time. So if you're a retard times 4, you're a 4-time
You're
correct
not giving more
retard.
meta.
Okay. Please let me now. May I speak? Is it my turn? Oh, hey,
You
moderator,
can
is it my
just
turn
go
or
into
what?
the point. You don't have
It's
to
your
give
turn, but
all
I
this
would.
You
meta.
guys,
Is it my
are
turn,
playing this
moderator?
game
I would
crying to
have
a
you
mod.
refrain from calling
Retard
me
times
names.
6.
I would
Yo,
refrain
moderator,
from
is it
calling.
my turn or not?
Okay.
Let me know when my turn is.
Yeah, I'm about
I'm
ready to
betting it
mute.
gets up to 15. That's my bet. 15 is going to be the limit. Go.
Look, he's
Is
muted.
it my turn, Zanick? When is my
It's
turn?
been,
Let me know when my
Zanick,
turn
shut the fuck up, please. Don't interrupt.
If you continue to
Zanick,
insult him,
not
I'm
your
gonna have
turn.
to mute you as
Why
well.
do you guys do this? Why do you guys run tactics all fucking day long? Just let him
Okay.
So
respond.
is
So
it
if you
is
want,
it when is it my turn, Zanick? Let
it
me
is
know.
your turn right now. Go.
Okay, so if you are a retard, times
Stop.
7,
No, do not say
interrupt it.
retard.
Okay, got you. If you are a retard times 8, interrupt me while I make this statement, which will be less
You
than
said
30
that
seconds.
15 times. Keep it to the point.
Okay, if you are a
Oh, for
retard
fuck's
times
sake,
9,
Noah.
interrupt me and not let me make my statement. So
All right.
I asked the question,
Okay.
the response.
Hard
Okay.
reset here.
Yeah, let me
Every
know when
time
my
you start
question is.
talking, you're saying
What?
the
Let me
word
know
retard.
when.
It's
Let me
so
know.
childish.
Let me know when
It's
I
so
can do my.
irritating. You've been going for 3 minutes now. I
Yo,
counted.
it's so funny though.
So I know. Just make your point and don't be a
Zanick,
jerk
you're
about
doing
it.
this
He's on
intentionally.
mute. I'm
Nobody's
gonna unmute
fooled.
all of you and just
Everybody
have a
knows
normal
you're doing this
conversation.
intentionally to derail so you can hijack and
Okay,
interrupt him.
is it my
and
turn?
the chat.
It's your turn. Go ahead.
When is
I think it
okay?
is
So if
your
you're a
turn.
okay, so it's my turn now. If you're a retard times 10,
It's your
interrupt
turn.
me.
It's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay, it's my turn. If you're a retard times 11, interrupt me. So there was a question that I gave, 2 minutes of gargle followed by 11 interruptions. So I'm going to re-ask. I'm going to
Stop
reopen.
whining.
Okay.
You can go again, but just stop your whining.
Oh, just mute
Make
him.
the point. No, because he keeps on saying it's been 5 minutes now.
Did it, please, dude.
If I'm
Please,
a
you're not,
double
run,
retard,
you're not
triple
running the
retard,
show,
and then he
dude.
says
You're not
the rest
running
of
the
it is
show,
rant.
Zanick.
We've heard
I
it.
think Zanick
Zanick, you're not
When's my
running the
turn so
show.
I can make? Can I make my full thing in? When is my turn so I can
Yeah,
fully
go ahead.
speak
Stop
uninterrupted?
crying.
Your turn is right now, and you're unmuted. But if you say the word retard, I'm gonna mute you again.
Okay, if you're low intelligence, interrupt me this 12th time. So, I asked the question to which the response was gargle, and then 12 interruptions. So the question is that I asked, and now I'm opening it up to the entire room of Globers, not just Lauri. The question is: scientific method is a term with a plethora of meanings, but not an arbitrary set of meanings. The set of meanings is limited. Now we have our first limitation on the scientific method. Does any Glober want to venture out and give us a limitation which makes things science or not science outside of employing the use of logic? Please, any Glober that would like to answer that, I will now add your limitation once you guys are done. Thank you very much.
I think it also includes testing things.
Okay, testing things.
I would agree.
I have something to say, but it's highly meta.
So that's
It's
now
even
two
more
limitations,
meta
by
than
the
what
way.
Noah was saying. I'll just say it really briefly. This conversation is freaking boring.
True.
Noah's
By the way,
this
Noah,
is his stage.
you're a liar. I gave pretty good reasons in my previous statement and the fact that you're just gonna say, listen to somebody else's argument, and you're gonna just pass that off as and hand wave it away as that was just gargle. Well, that's just you being an asshole, man.
Let's keep the name. We've had enough name callings for a day at least here. Let's just
Okay, so can I respond now? Is it my turn? Zach?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So science, the scientific method. What makes something not science is that you don't test things. Would you say that applies to astronomy? Therefore, astronomy does not fit under the categorical umbrella plethora of meaning scientific method.
There is a test involved with astronomy, and I think you're using that term very loosely. This is my global position. I think if you want to talk about tests, you talk about experimentation, you talk about changing variables. That could be done in a multitude of ways without having to actually touch and dither the actual object physically. I think everyone should agree to that by now. It's been years.
Right, but my understanding is astronomy is based on observations. There are no tests or experiments done.
There, absolutely.
So wait, actually, I have a better question. Is test mean experiment, or
Yes.
is experiment okay? So test. So when they said testing, what they actually meant the implementation of logic and experiment is the full steel man. Would you agree to that?
I agree. The experimentation is synonymous with testing.
Okay, and that it's a requirement for being science. That things that don't use experiments and don't use logic are not science, right?
There's observational sciences. I think astronomy is one of those, and there's different degrees of how things can or should or are actually tested and how experiments are conducted. You can do strictly observational. Behavioral sciences are also another area where it's just observations. You can make a stretch in saying, is the logic involved in the observations or the dissemination of the information obtained by observations? Is that a test? It's a blurred area, but I think we're getting kind of pedantic now. What is your point, Noah, about the science and what qualifies as a science based on test, observation,
Can I
etc.?
say something real quick? Because I think you guys are not listening to what Noah's saying. Like, logic is not exclusive to science. So he's going to come up with another solid standard besides logic, which is a necessary precondition for all knowledge, even outside the scientific method, right? Just reasoning alone, like deductive reasoning, all types of abductive reasoning, inductive reasoning. Things that are outside the scientific method require logic. So you got to come up with a better standard than that as a limit. And he hasn't come up with one.
Yeah, you guys did not. Zanick, you just denied that experiment. Like, so previously, you and Lauri agreed that testing was required, was a required limit that made things either science or not science. And then you then both agreed that science and testing is just another word for experiment. And then you said there's a category called observational science in which an experiment need not happen. So that actually destroys your second pillar. You're back to one pillar, which is just science implements logic, which can't be an exhaustive, doesn't really bring us anywhere. There's no fruits to that saying science. I mean, I guess there is. It's just very limited fruits. We want much more, basically. We want a better standard for what we consider science and not science because of what Lion just laid out. Thank you very much.
I was very clear about saying this test and experiment can be, those lines can be blurred with science. Observational sciences allow you to blur those lines. You can actually do something in science, for example, that doesn't need to be tested, as the word is defined, or there doesn't have to be an experiment. You're just observing things. You're saying, okay, this thing is illuminated in the sky and it has a shadow, and you're not really testing. You're just kind of observing and making logical deductions from the information you've received by looking at it. So I don't think, I know what you're saying, and I think generally, yes, test, experiment, observation, and then deducing through logic what is happening based on multiple observations. That could be your testing procedure. So I'm using the word test and experiment very loosely. I don't think we should argue about that because it is a very loose definition.
Okay, so basically, thus far, we have the scientific method, which has a plethora of limitations to basically encapsulate it as a cohesive idea or concept. Two espoused limitations were the employment of logic and the employment of experiment, but the second one espoused was now retracted. You no longer need to do an experiment or a test for it to be considered science. May I suggest a second limitation, maybe that you guys would agree to, since now you're back to logic, just one thing? I would suggest, would you agree that observation must take place for something to be considered science? That's up for the Globers to discuss and come up to a cohesive answer to that. Thank you very much.
Can you define observation? You talk about a visual confirmation of a particular phenomena? Is that what you're getting at? Because there's also things that aren't done in the visual space that are still science.
I'm just trying to get you guys to have some sort of cohesive meaning to the word scientific method. You guys thus far have just that it employs logic, nothing more. So I suggested observation, but if you don't even want to put that on, we're still very incomplete. You basically just have the scaffolding up for a meaning. You don't have any and one pillar. You have scaffolding and one pillar, no house built yet. So you guys need a house so that we can actually attack the position.
What if we just say that science is just the act of trying to understand the world around us, the physical world around us?
I think it would be a bit more than that. I think it would be a bit more than that. I think it would be trying to systematically understand the world. So you're not just casually
that's a subset. That's a
making
subset
some
of what
kind of.
I'm trying to get to the point where we don't have to argue about it. So, Laura, I'm trying to get to the point where we don't have to argue about it. If we say it's just the process of understanding the world around us, so that gives you the systematic testing, whatever that entails. But if it's just the process of understanding the world around us, that is science. We don't need to argue about it. We have to find the limitations and the scientific method that was invented by some or coined by some guy, hundreds of years ago. If that means anything to anybody, it's not a requirement. These are all small subsets of the overall goal to understand the world around us. And we use mathematics and physics and things to help us understand these things that we experience or witness visually or otherwise.
So
somebody read.
So trying to understand the world around us and employing logic is the two things that basically limit and give meaning to the word scientific method. So I have an example that I think you guys would disagree with, but let's say that there's a a witch who's very logically drawing out magic circles and chanting in Chaldean and summoning spirits and such and whatever. And they're doing it in a very logic way, and they're just trying to understand things. Now, given your two limitations thus far, that fully falls under science, as you guys have defined it. Whereas I think you guys would disagree. Let me know if you don't disagree. But if you do disagree, what limitations could you add to basically keep that example that's not science out of science so that we can get a proper, more full definition?
I'd love to add that first before we answer the question proper. That, by the way, you chose that example. It was arbitrary. So you're currently making an argument that science is arbitrary by giving an arbitrary example.
So does anyone actually have a limitation put on science that basically discludes? Okay. Let me know when my turn is.
Yeah. I would love you to kind of somehow confirm or deny that you're actually now arguing that science is arbitrary because the example that you gave is arbitrary. Because that's the logic that you used against me before. I gave an arbitrary example, so I was arguing that science is arbitrary. You're doing the same now. So if you're going to attack me for using arbitrary examples and then you use one yourself, are you not now just saying the same? Science is arbitrary, therefore you know I just lost the game.
Okay, is it my turn yet, Zan?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's your turn.
Okay, it's my turn. So if you're a dumb fuck, interrupt me ×2.
Thank you.
Okay, no turn. So it's not my turn. Let me know when my turn.
No, it's your turn, but I don't want to hear any more.
Okay. Got you. If you're low IQ, interrupt me ×3. All right. So we have thus far the scientific method, which supposedly employs logic and is when a human being is in pursuit of knowledge and understanding the world. That two limitations, a witch doctor qualifies given those two limitations. So a witch doctor, thus far, is a scientist, unless we can come up with a third pillar to rest scientific understanding on and disqualify the witch doctor as a scientist. Please give that third pillar now.
So, and by the way, if you're a retard and you don't understand anything, and if you're, please interrupt me. So can you clarify your example of the witch doctor?
Okay, so we have science is something that employs logic in humans who are trying to understand the world. So they have a sentiment of trying to understand the world and they're employing logic. That now is our definition of science. It is not a full definition. We could add more to it to make it more full. So far, witch doctors are included as scientists unless we can come up with some sort of third pillar that disqualifies from that. Could any of the Gobers come up with that, or are we just going to allow witch doctors into science? Thank you.
I'm going to have to, and please, if you're a moron and a retard and your name is Noah, please interrupt me. You would have to prove your point that it qualifies as science under our definition. So you would have to show us a witch doctor using logic to try and understand the world. In order to make your point. So you haven't made your point yet to even begin to ask you a question. And please, even at this point, you feel free to interrupt me if you're a retard and your name is Noah. Go ahead. Now you maybe can try to begin to answer the question in order to actually ask your question.
Let's get rid of
Is it my turn? Is it my turn yet or what?
Yeah, please don't start with the word retard or any other kind of insult. Both of you guys.
Okay, so I'm going to start my turn. So now we have, thus far, definition of scientific method, it employs logic and it's a human trying to understand things. In the case of a witch doctor who's logically pouring salt lines on the floor and spelling things out in Chaldean and chanting things in another language, trying to understand the world very logically, looking through the books and thus having his own logic and whatever. So that is an example of something that meets the criterion for a scientist, given the definition given thus far? Can we come up with any third pillar to disqualify such said individual and give us a more full definition of science? Please and thank you for the Globers. Please come up with a third pillar and not just grandstand.
Before we
Hey,
answer that
how
question,
far is
I would love
Criterion
to
from the sun?
I would love for you to actually properly prove that this witch doctor is using logic and thus fits our definition of science, because you didn't actually show it. You just said that he throws salt based on logic. Well, how did he come? What kind of logical conclusion did he or method did he employ in order to come up to the conclusion that I need to throw salt and sing some songs and that's gonna heal? You didn't actually show that what witch doctors do is based on logic, and you need to show that to actually even begin to ask a question. I've asked this like 3 times now. Can you at some point actually do that, Noah? Can you prove that the witch doctor is using logic?
Okay, let's see. So we have a definition of science by the Globers thus far. The only two limitations are that it's a man trying to or a woman. It's a person trying to understand the world and that they employ logic. Now, let's say we have a witch doctor who has a couple P's and Q's on the board, and he has magic potion Q, evil spell P, or whatever, reverse the 2 P's and Q's, and he has a full logical laid out plan. He's employing logic in his witch doctory, and he is trying his best to understand the world. He now qualifies as a scientist if we can't define a third pillar that it gives more meaning to the word scientific method and disqualify him from the scientific community. Could we get that third pillar and give a more full definition of science and stop beating around the bush, and let's just get to the third pillar? Because our only 2 pillars are I want to understand the world as a sentiment and the employment of logic, which all men basically do. All men are scientists under this paradigm. So we get a little more to disqualify out unless we're all just scientists. Thank you very much.
I will not ask the question again. I will just go briefly. I asked 3 times for you to actually show that the witch doctor is using logic. I'm just gonna note for the audience in the room that you again failed to do that, Noah. You just stated that he's using logic, but you didn't actually show it. So you cannot even begin to ask us, because in order to ask us, you need to show that the witch doctor is outside of science because he's using logic. You need to show that he is using logic, and you didn't do that, so you fail. I'm not gonna bother the room by asking you again. If you cannot do it for 3 times when I ask you, you just failed the task and you have no room to even begin to ask the question. So try again, try a different example that actually works for what you're trying to do.
Okay, thus far on the actual topic, which is the scientific method, and Glober's trying to actually describe and give it meaning, which they only have gotten 2 solid things thus far. That it is a man trying to understand the world and employ logic. Now, all men, including witch doctors, try to understand the world and employ logic. That is universal amongst all men, unless someone has a fucking brain problem. So,
we are fucking
given that, so far we have something that doesn't disqualify anyone. Could we get a third description, a third limitation on the meaning of the scientific method, thus that we can actually start to disqualify people like witch doctors? Please give now the third limitation on the meaning of science, because the first 2 are pretty weak and we don't really have a full, complete knowledge of the meaning. Can we now get a third one, a third qualifier that you must meet up to be a scientist? Can we please get that from the Globers now instead of wasting time in meta gargle?
I'm sorry, we just keep getting stuck on the witch doctor, but
the English language.
Can please any one of you guys say something else than the thing that you already said, because you're both talking past each other. It's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, it is.
No, the topic is you guys define the scientific method, Snooze. So far, there's only been 2 descriptions: a man trying to understand things
if the witch
and a
doctor
man using logic.
is applying logic, then he's doing science. If he's just inventing
please give us another call. Is that the full
Wait,
is that the full definition? Oh, so it's the full definition now, Snooze?
Okay, I have some to say. It's kind of meta. I've been listening. This conversation's still boring as fuck. It hasn't improved at all.
In my opinion, if the witch doctor if the witch doctor who you just defined to be a witch doctor is applying logic, then he's doing science, yes. If he's just inventing or pulling witchcraft out of his ass, that this is not logic. And just inventing,
that's
like, I don't
astronomy.
know, blood for magic spells that cannot be proven to be correct or having any evidence that they are actually working, then it's not science. If the witch doctor, however, has a spell that actually works, and he can bring evidence that it works, and he can isolate that his spell actually does this stuff, then he has invented something.
Okay, I
No
heard
one is
something.
excluding so-called magic from being possible in science. If you
Okay,
can
I
show
heard
it,
something. I heard something, Snooze. It sounded like you just gave us our third qualifier for what is the scientific method, which is something that I suggested earlier, but was handily dismissed by Zanick. But you said evidence, or
yeah.
you said the word evidence, which is synonymous with observation, the observation of evidence or the manifestation of evidence, right? So would you agree? Now, so I've basically built out, or kind of plucked out of 45 to an hour worth of meta, only 3 principles now from these guys of what the scientific method. It took an hour of teeth pulling to get it from them. But would you guys, so actually, I don't even know, would you guys agree the third pillar of evidence is a must have to be considered science, or would you disagree you need no evidence?
But evidence is a conclusion from logic. If you just claim something or you want to understand something without any evidence, it's absolutely unlogical. And if you cannot discover the evidence, you're obviously not observant. And you have been asked what you mean with observing, if it's something optical or if it's something measurable. And yes, of course, I would agree. You have to observe something to get knowledge of something. You can
then
observe
understanding
also
it.
something acoustically. You can also observe something measurably. But this is all can all be summarized under logically understanding the surrounding.
Yeah, that's
the
actually not true. You can do
sometimes the
logic without evidence. You can
well
do
the
logic in
observation
Narnia.
is
You can
the
do
evidence.
logic in Narnia.
Yeah,
You can do logic in Narnia. Yeah, so
You know
that
what?
kind
You
of
know what? For example,
so that was a
theoretical
lot. Okay,
physicists
so it's
are.
your turn again.
Okay. Do you know what theoretical physicists are? They do math. They do typically just math and use calculate or use observations from other people. They are not observing anything. They don't do any scientific experiments. They just do calculations, simulations, computer programs, and so on. They are still scientists.
Okay, so you really didn't give a clear answer to my question. My question was, can we bring the pillar? You just kind of miscategorized logic. Actually, is all you did in method. So could we now answer the question? Globers, are we going to bring evidence in as one of the pillars to what makes the scientific method, or are we going to exclude it? Please answer. Once your conclusion, then please answer.
The observation itself can be evidence.
Yes.
So yes, we need that. So if they're synonymous, yes, you need evidence.
So are
But
you
that
putting
doesn't make it
evidence and
no.
observation in the same pillar? There's one pillar that is observation and evidence, correct?
I don't. Is it you? Do you set these pillars?
What-
These are your qualifications for a scientific method.
No, these are the
You're saying-
qualifications
what
you
do you
guys
think
have
you're
given that
observing
I've
if not evidence?
We said observation.
that I've listened
observation
to and
of some-
plucked out.
Observation,
Okay,
whether
so not a
hold
question
on,
for me.
hold on.
So
Observation,
question, but you don't want me to answer.
observation for either a phenomena or something you see, and then you start working through an explanation of why this is occurring, and then you develop a conclusion. How you test it is tells you how much evidence you are going to gain to support your conclusion, basically the hypothesis test.
So I'm trying to take it one step at a time with the Globers. Does any other Glober want to give me an answer? Because we have 2 pillars: the sentiment of trying to understand and the employment of logic. I'm thinking we should bring in a third pillar, to introduce into the scientific method. That third pillar being observation and evidence. Do you guys agree that should be the third pillar, or do you guys disagree?
Oh, well, how about make
please,
it make it simpler? You have your observation, you make your conclusion, and then you have some type of logic or test for that conclusion. There's the 3 pillars. Done. Sometimes you can test it. Sometimes you use logic, all based on the observation, all based on the explanation of what you think has happened. And if you think something's happened for a certain reason, test it or explain it.
Well, why do 2 people using the same method come to 2 different drastically different conclusions, such as
Normally,
Globers who think the Earth is
belief.
old, and
Beliefs.
yes,
Go ahead.
That's
You were
how
cut off.
beliefs, because beliefs interfere with
Hold
actual
on, Cuddles.
data.
He didn't. He was cut off. What was your question again?
oh, thank
Such
you.
as what?
Just because we do find Globers who will observe the universe and then come to the conclusion that it's billions of years old, and then you'll have some that'll say it's in the tens of thousands of years.
Sure.
What are your guys' thoughts?
These are all. That's all science, all based on evidence, certain types of testing, and all with different conclusions. And some will have better or more evidence than the other. They're both science, and that's how science works, all evidence based. So you're absolutely right. Hopefully everybody can take a lesson from that example, which is very good, about what science is and how they can, two scientists can do science, come up with two radically different ideas, different types of evidence, and they're not matter of right or wrong or have proof. One will either have more evidence than the other, or one will have more substantial evidence than the other.
Or they just have different evidence and they are both wrong at the same time.
Nice to the left. Oh, there he is. Okay.
He's here. He's just muted.
No, he was. He left and he came back, so I got to mute him. Yeah, just
thanks. Why didn't you mute that guy when he interrupted me 15 times
he was starting to talk
earlier? Are you are you biased? Because I
no, not at all.
interrupted.
I muted him. I muted him last time, and this time he was speaking, and you were just going over and over with the same rant over and over again. So I decided to mute you. It's gonna be temporary, just to kind of stop the chaos.
Who's gonna mute Zanick?
Okay, so after an hour and a half of pulling teeth, the Globers have come to basically 3 pillars to their understanding of science that is very rudimentary and not complete. The flat earther scientific method, which is the one we were all taught when we were growing up, seems to be much more advanced, and we gave it in 30 seconds. They took an hour and a half to give theirs. It's much more rudimentary and really doesn't have any meaning to it. So I'm just going to declare this one a victory for flat earthers, because it took them an hour and a half to basically say, it took them an hour and a half to basically make an argument that's like 2 sentences long. So thank you very much, Globers, for demonstrating that you guys have an inferior definition of science. Thank you.